Chapter 1583. Yi Tianyun's sudden appearance immediately attracted the attention of many cultivators, and all of them turned to look in his direction. However, when they noticed that he was an intermediate-level heavenly venerate, they ignored him, thinking that he was just a passerby. Realm Lord Xiutian and the others were stunned upon seeing Yi Tianyun's return. Why had Yi Tianyun suddenly returned? Where did this brat come from? He must be tired of living. An upper-level celestial master on the side pressed his finger and quickly flew over, wanting to kill Yi Tianyun. In this area, Yi Tianyun was the only outsider. Everyone else was on their side, so they naturally had to come and take care of him. Heavenly God Sky Cloud also noticed Yi Tianyun, and his pupils contracted as he roared, "This is the brat who ruined our plan. Hand him over to me." Heavenly God Sky Cloud immediately recognized Yi Tianyun as the brat who had ruined their plan, and he immediately turned to attack Yi Tianyun in an attempt to kill him. If it weren't for Yi Tianyun, how would their plan have turned out like this? This was all Yi Tianyun's fault. As such, he was going to kill Yi Tianyun even if he had to swallow his pride. In particular, Yi Tianyun was not as simple as they had imagined. He was a very troublesome brat. All of the heavenly venerates were dumbstruck. An intermediate-level heavenly venerate was asking an ancient heavenly god to intervene? Just what had this brat done to incur heavenly god Sky Cloud's wrath? Realm Lord Xiutian and the others' expressions shifted. They were unable to provide reinforcements, and heavenly god Yidang's heart tightened. Yi Tianyun had helped them, so he was still the benefactor of the heavenly cultivation god realm. If he were to die like this, how would the heavenly cultivation god realm maintain their dignity? A faint smile appeared on Yi Tianyun's face as he looked at the oncoming heavenly god Sky Cloud. He waved a hand, and the myriad god pagoda flew out. As it grew bigger, a bunch of cultivators rushed out, including the other two patriarchs. As soon as they came out, they immediately formed a circle in front of Yi Tianyun and prepared for battle. How can this be? The appearance of the great Devis gave heavenly god Torrential Cloud a fright, and he immediately stopped in his tracks. After all, there were two great ancestors here, and their strength was comparable to his. If they really fought, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. The other Empyrean deities were all shocked. The Sacred Peak Region Master and the others all stopped their attacks and looked over in a daze. Didn't they say that it would take a long time for them to return here? It might not take too long, but it would take at least a few days or even a week. After all, the distance between the two of them was quite far. Who would have thought that they would already be back when they had just started? Furthermore, they were brought back by a mysterious kid. This treasure is really amazing. I really came back in an instant. How could the vast heavenly deity and the others not be shocked? Such a shocking speed caused them to be stupefied. Even if they activated their spirit ships at full power, they wouldn't be able to do this. It would take at least a few days, and by the time they got back, the battle would most likely have already begun or ended. Now that they had come back in an instant, they didn't even have time to warm up before returning to the Heaven Cultivation God realm. This type of shuttle-type treasure was definitely an extremely rare type. It was definitely a life-saving treasure. After coming out, they didn't pounce forward. After all, they had brought a lot of cultivators with them, and they were more powerful than all of them. If they hadn't made it back in time, they would have been far more powerful than the cultivators in the Heaven Cultivation God realm. The current situation was that they had surrounded Empyrean God Tower Cloud and the others in a circle. What's going on? They can come back so quickly. Aren't they already wreaking havoc on the Sacred Peak region? Heavenly God Torrential Cloud and the others wore dark expressions. They had thought that they would be able to take down the Sacred Peak region easily, but it didn't look like it would be that easy. Even though they had many patriarchs on their side, the Sacred Peak Patriarch, the Myriad Heaven Patriarch, and Patriarch Torrential Cloud made up 3 patriarchs. As for the Evil Spirit Tribe, they didn't have any patriarchs. Only a few heavenly gods had come to reinforce them. The Evil Spirit Tribe's patriarchs definitely couldn't be mobilized unless it was absolutely necessary. However, even though Heavenly God Torrential Cloud was an evil spirit tribe patriarch, it was already very impressive that one of them had been mobilized. If many patriarchs were to appear, it would be very troublesome. This would attract the attention of some of the ancient bastards, and they would all wake up. The evil spirit tribe was wreaking havoc in the surrounding divine realms, but those ancient bastards hadn't come out because the situation wasn't serious enough. Unless the situation was extremely serious, they wouldn't come out. It's all his fault. Heavenly God Torrential Cloud focused his gaze on Yi Tianyun again. Yi Tianyun had appeared out of thin air before bringing a large group of people with him. It was undoubtedly his appearance that had disrupted their plans. Could it be that you're a disciple of the Fecta realm? Heavenly God Torrential Cloud stared intently at Yi Tianyun, trying to glean something from his eyes. A disciple of the Fecta realm? Yi Tianyun shrugged. I don't even know what you're talking about. The Fecta realm was an extremely mysterious divine realm that was almost impossible to find. It was almost as if it didn't exist in this world. However, it did exist in this world, and it possessed extremely intricate treasures that could unleash astonishing power. In reality, it was the equivalent of a super-powerful divine craftsman who could create many intricate treasures. For example, there really were treasures that could allow one to instantly pass through several divine realms. However, no one had ever been to the Fecta realm, and no one knew where it was. There were still treasures from the Fecta realm on the market, and all of them were extremely dazzling, causing people to fight over them. Now that Yi Tianyun had displayed such bizarre methods, they couldn't help but wonder if Yi Tianyun was actually from the Fecta realm. However, it was true that Yi Tianyun wasn't from the Fecta realm. He knew about the Fecta realm, but he wasn't a disciple of the Fecta realm. How could little junior brother be a disciple of the Fecta realm? Heavenly Sovereign Sword Ruler and the others all laughed. They had accompanied him all the way here from the outer divine realms. The disciples of the Fecta realm were extremely precious. How could they have come from the outer divine realms? The disciples of the Fecta realm were all super geniuses. There was no need for them to play around like this. Moreover, the disciples of the Fecta realm were extremely strict. They couldn't leave the Fecta realm as they pleased. Unless they were given special permission, they were not allowed to leave. If they left without permission, they would be severely punished. He's not a disciple of the Fecta realm. Heavenly God Torrential Cloud's eyes were cold. Then you have a treasure from the Fecta realm. What a miscalculation. You're the one who ruined both of our plans. Damn you. Chapter 1584. Yi Tianyun had foiled his plans twice in a row. How could he not be enraged? Even though there was a massive disparity in their cultivation bases, Heavenly God Sky Cloud was going to kill him even if he had to throw away his pride. Do you think I'd help you if I didn't foil your plans? Idiot. Yi Tianyun said sarcastically. He didn't put Heavenly God Tao Yun in his eyes at all. Heavenly God Sky Cloud flared up with rage, and he pointed a finger toward them. Kill those bastards over there first. I'll take care of this evil brat. Heavenly God Sky Cloud had really swallowed his pride. He was telling everyone that he was going to kill Yi Tianyun first in front of so many cultivators. This was simply inconceivable. A high and mighty ancient heavenly god was swallowing his pride to attack an intermediate heavenly venerate. It was shameful to say that he had lowered himself like this. Heavenly God Sky Cloud didn't feel humiliated. Instead, he was enraged, and he wanted to kill Yi Tianyun. How could he not be enraged after spoiling two of his plans? All of his plans had been so perfect, but they had all been ruined. He could have taken down the cultivation god realm without expending a single soldier. Not only had he suffered countless casualties, but even the two puppet god realms had been completely destroyed. This was a chain reaction that made him want to vomit blood. Thank God he hadn't alerted those old bastards. Otherwise, the problem would have been even more severe. Heavenly God Sky Cloud, if you want to touch him, you'll have to ask the two of us first. The two patriarchs positioned themselves in front of Heavenly God Sky Cloud. If they were going to settle scores, then they were going to settle scores with one another. Piss off. Heavenly God Sky Cloud quickly summoned his heavenly venerate spirit treasures, including the heavenly God spirit treasures. 5 spirit treasures appeared around him. At the same time, 5 arms appeared on his back, each of which was wielding a weapon. He was truly going to fight for his life. Evil spirit tribe cultivators had multiple arms, which meant that they could unleash even more power. Boom! The battle was about to commence, and Heavenly God Sky Cloud's charge officially commenced. Following the other heavenly deities, they all attacked together. When facing enemies, their eyes were definitely bloodshot. The Holy Peak Realm leader and the others also charged forward. Seeing as they couldn't open the passageway right away, they had to kill the Great Devis and the others first. Open the passage. Empyrean God Yudong and the others immediately gave the order to open up the passageway. Previously, the disparity in power had been too great, they wanted to first observe the situation before making any further plans. Now that everyone was back, it was time to have a good fight. Heavenly God Yudong took the initiative to open up a passageway, and all of them quickly charged out with Heavenly God Yudong at the lead. This time, the battle really began. Everyone brandished their weapons and attacked fiercely. The battle quickly became white-hot. Open! At that moment, a huge divine tree descended from the void. A vast life force descended in all directions, enveloping all the cultivators. At this time, they were surprised to find that their healing abilities had greatly improved. Without a doubt, this was the Yi Tianyun Voodoo Wood Divine Set. The effects would decrease as one's cultivation increased, but it was still quite effective for heavenly deities, so it was better than having no effect at all. Of course, as Yi Tianyun's cultivation increased, the effects would also increase. Therefore, it could be maintained at a very good level. This way, it would have a strong healing effect on all cultivators. Not only did Yi Tianyun activate super strong healing, but he also constantly rushed toward other Empyrean powerhouses. He might not be able to kill heavenly deities, but killing those Empyreans was not a problem. This healing ability is really amazing. What kind of move is this? Empyrean Skycloud is too amazing. He has this kind of ability. The injuries he just suffered recovered immediately. It's several times faster than before. It's really amazing. We don't have to worry about getting injured when we fight with them. Even if we get injured, we'll be fine after a little rest. When they sensed this power, they were all astonished. Even the elders were extremely shocked. Empyrean Swordsea and the others had already felt it. When they saw their expressions, they thought of their own expressions. They were indeed deeply shocked. Ding! Successfully killed an upper-level Empyrean. Obtained experience, ding! Successfully killed a middle-level Empyrean. Obtained experience, ding! Successfully killed a, under the blessing, they became braver and braver as they fought. They were not afraid of getting injured, so they could naturally crush them with irresistible force. At the same time, with the help, Yi Tianyun could also obtain a shocking amount of experience. He didn't even need to do anything to earn a large amount of experience. He had wanted to do this before, but the range was limited. If he hunted them from all directions, his healing range would not be able to reach them. Therefore, he decided not to activate it and could only slowly do it himself. Now, it was different. They were all gathered together and fighting, so everything was within his range of control. Under such circumstances, his experience was rapidly increasing, and it was no longer a dream to level up quickly. Kill! Yi Tianyun's speed skyrocketed. The astonishing speed of the Kunpeng bloodline was unleashed here. Killing Empyreans was as easy as drinking water. Suddenly, he was like a harvester, harvesting everything in his path. This situation scared Empyrean god Torrential Clouds and the others. He had this kind of ability. This brat is really strange. Kill him first. The Sacred Peak Region Master and the others all agreed with Empyrean god Torrential Cloud's words. This was really too strange. Not only did he ruin their plans, but he was also using such a strange technique in battle. They had seen people who could heal injuries, but they had never seen someone who could heal such a large area. They couldn't even hold their own against him. Even if they kept taking pills, they wouldn't be able to keep up with his healing. As soon as the order was given, several heavenly gods quickly surrounded Yi Tianyun. One by one, they burst out their strongest power and rushed towards Yi Tianyun. They had to kill Yi Tianyun first no matter what. They could put Xiutian Region Master and the others aside and focus on killing Yi Tianyun first. If you want to kill him, you'll have to ask us first. The great Devis and the others quickly intercepted them and engaged in a fierce battle with these heavenly gods. They had to protect Yi Tianyun no matter what. Regardless of whether it was when they had saved the Xiutian god realm or now that they were in an extremely important position, they had to prioritize Yi Tianyun. There was a significant difference in overall strength between the two sides. With Yi Tianyun's powerful healing, they might be able to win this battle, and they might even suffer very few losses. As such, they had to protect Yi Tianyun no matter what. For a time, it could be said that Yi Tianyun was protected inside and out. As the healer, he continuously cast healing techniques from the center, allowing them to heal quickly. This voodoo wood divine set is really good stuff. If I can continue to upgrade it, wouldn't it be heaven-defying? Yi Tianyun would use this voodoo wood divine set every time he fought a team battle. It was definitely a life-saving divine tool. Chapter 1585. Yi Tianyun was completely unscathed by the layers of protection around him. As for Heavenly God Torrent Cloud's rage, it couldn't even reach Yi Tianyun. If Heavenly God Torrent Cloud were to charge over, then the other patriarchs really wouldn't be able to survive. After all, they had a massive advantage over the patriarchs. They had 4 of them. As for the heavenly gods, they did indeed have fewer, but with Yi Tianyun's healing, they would be able to hold on. Now, it was time to see who could hold on longer. The first to collapse would be the first to lose. Judging from the current situation, it was clear that Heavenly God Torrent Cloud's side would collapse. After all, no matter how much they healed, they wouldn't be able to match up to Yi Tianyun's full support. Yi Tianyun was currently enjoying the experience points rolling in. He didn't even need to do anything to earn a large sum of experience points. At first, he had wanted to participate in the battles, but later on, he wasn't even allowed to participate. They were all protecting him, which made him feel quite exasperated. The main thing was that he was the main force of the main force. He could control all the risks and heal all the cultivators. As such, he was no longer allowed to fight. The others would fight, while Yi Tianyun would be responsible for healing. However, he was quite happy with this arrangement. After all, as a support healer, he would be able to earn everything from the cultivators the others killed, including those items. If he were to charge around recklessly, they would be terrified. They definitely didn't want him to do as he pleased. Unless he didn't use the voodoo wood divine set in the first place, no one would stop him. Right now, he could only stay here obediently and watch as they made their move. Even so, there were still a few heavenly gods charging over in a frenzy. The rest of the cultivators didn't pay any attention to them. Instead, they all charged over and sent the group of heavenly gods who were intercepting them flying. None of the injuries on their bodies remained. At most, they would take some pills and attack again. In contrast, Yi Tianyun's side didn't even need to take pills to heal their injuries. This was extremely easy. If they felt like they were too slow, they could take pills to heal themselves. How were they supposed to die? Unless he poked his head out and faced an existence with a cultivation several levels higher than him, he wouldn't die no matter what. It was precisely because they knew this that they rushed over in a frenzy. No matter what, they had to kill Yi Tianyun first. Get out of my way. The group of Empyrean gods roared angrily. Among them, the Sacred Peak Region Master was the vanguard. The power of a mid-level Empyrean god was naturally not to be underestimated. No matter what, it was the joint attack of 2 great forces. If they couldn't even unleash a little bit of power, it would really be terrible. However, the people of the Heaven Cultivation God realm were also desperately trying to stop them. The two of them clashed back and forth, creating intense explosions that swept out in all directions. It had been a long time since such an intense battle had occurred. Hold on. We must hold on. Area Lord Xiutian's eyes were bloodshot. No matter what, they had to hold on to this place and prevent the enemy from killing their way in. Under their stubborn defense, they really managed to resist their attacks again and again. Vaguely, they even had a suppressive effect. Just when they thought they could hold on, suddenly, a figure appeared behind Yi Tianyun, holding a long sword and slashing at his waist. The sharp sword technique only took one stab, but it had the effect of waving 100 swords, instantly enveloping Yi Tianyun's body. A mole. The people who noticed this quickly felt their hearts sink. What they saw was actually Heavenly Venerate 100 Swords making a move. Heavenly Venerate 100 Swords had always been on their side, and he was a very good upper-level Heavenly Venerate. The explosive power he could unleash could exchange hundreds of blows with a lower-level Empyrean god without being defeated. They didn't expect that Heavenly Venerate 100 Swords, who had always been very upright, was actually a mole. He had quietly come over, seemingly to protect Yi Tianyun, but in reality, he was risking his life to kill Yi Tianyun. The Heavenly Venerates around him narrowed their eyes. They wanted to rush over to help, but it was already too late. The Sacred Peak Region Master and the others all revealed cruel smiles. Finally, the mole that they had planted here had worked. Even when the plan was launched, they did not expose all the mole, and they were still planted here. They did not expect to use it at this time, and everything was perfect. The attack had already locked onto Yi Tianyun, and there was basically no way for him to escape. In addition, his strength was not weak, and he could even exchange hundreds of blows with the Empyrean god without being defeated, which meant that his strength was enough to instantly kill Yi Tianyun. An upper-level Heavenly Venerate could not instantly kill a middle-level Heavenly Venerate? That was impossible. Die! The spirit sword in Heavenly Venerate 100 Swords' hand turned into countless piercing rainbows, directly locking onto Yi Tianyun's head, making sure to kill him in one blow. Heavenly Venerate Sword Master and the others on the side saw this situation and only glanced at it indifferently, too lazy to care. Only those cultivators who did not know about Yi Tianyun's situation felt that their hearts were about to fly out of their chests. If Yi Tianyun died, their long-term combat power would definitely drop a lot. Swoosh! A ray of light that was faster than this long sword directly penetrated Heavenly Venerate 100 Swords' head, directly blasting him into pieces. As for those attacks, they did not even touch his skin. Not to mention killing Yi Tianyun, they did not even have the chance to interrupt his healing. He was instantly killed. Sacred Peak Region Master and the others' crazy smiles froze just like that. None of them had seen Yi Tianyun's power, and they thought that Heavenly Venerate 100 Swords would definitely be able to kill him in one blow. Who would have thought that it would be Heavenly Venerate 100 Swords who would be killed in one blow? You want to kill me with just this guy? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. No matter what, you should at least send a few heavenly gods. How can these small fries be enough to fill my teeth? Heavenly Venerate Sword Master and the others laughed. Thinking back to when Yi Tianyun was not a Heavenly Venerate, he could instantly kill a middle-level Heavenly Venerate and even fight against an upper-level Heavenly Venerate. Now that he had broken through to become a middle-level Heavenly Venerate, a mere upper-level Heavenly Venerate wanted to play with him. Without a Heavenly God level, it was impossible to get close. Damn it! They roared. If this continued, they would definitely be in more and more danger. How were they supposed to play when that time came? Were they supposed to retreat now? If they retreated, they would not be willing to. Of course, Region Master Xiutian and the others also did not want to let them leave. They would do their best to keep them here and not let them escape. They also would not allow these guys to come and go as they pleased. No matter what, they had to give them an explanation. Give it your all. Sacrifice yourselves for me. At this moment, Heavenly God Torrential Cloud said indifferently, "When my lord becomes a god emperor, you will all be revived." The Sacred Peak Region Master and the others were startled. Then, their eyes turned red, and they gritted their teeth. They had no choice. They had already sworn oaths and could not resist orders. Chapter 1586. The Sacred Peak Region Lord and the Myriad Heavens Region Lord were going to sacrifice themselves to unleash their greatest power. It wasn't just the Sacred Peak Region Lord and the Myriad Heavens Region Lord. All the other cultivators were going to unleash their greatest power. Or rather, they were going to burn all of their power. The effect of this was naturally extremely bad. They would either die or be heavily injured. There was no other choice. Especially in a situation where he had to defeat his opponent, if he couldn't win for a long time, he would definitely die first. Could they survive by burning their own life force? Empyrean God Torrential Cloud told them to burn their life force to release themselves. Given the current situation, if they didn't do this, it would be a waste of time. If they kept delaying, they would definitely die. Even though burning their life force might not be able to defeat their opponents, it was better than being stuck in a stalemate. His Excellency will revive us. The Sacred Peak Region Lord and the Myriad Heavens Region Lord's eyes turned bloodshot. They began to burn their life force like crazy believers. It wasn't just them. The other cultivators all began to burn their life force as well. Only the evil spirit race didn't do so. The others all began to burn their life force. They were going all out, and they were burning their life force to a great extent. They immediately detonated their life force, causing their combat power to skyrocket. Although the price was high, the effect was the most obvious, and it could be seen immediately. The expressions of Shotian Region Lord and the others changed. They didn't expect everyone to start burning their life force. This way, they, who were already at a slight disadvantage, would definitely suffer a heavy blow. Unless they also burned their life force, but burning their life force against them would be fatal. Neither pills nor Etienne's powerful healing abilities could easily replenish their life force. The two were not on the same level. If it was so easy to heal them, they would have gone crazy long ago. How crazy! All of them are burning their life force. All of them are madmen. No, they were forced to do so. Etienne glanced at them. In truth, none of them wanted to burn their life force, much less continue fighting. But they had no other choice. Empyrean God Torrential Cloud had them under his control. The Myriad Heavens Region Lord and the Sacred Peak Region Lord had to listen to him. As for the others, they had to listen to the Sacred Peak Region Lord and the others. Thus, as soon as they were given the order, they would all explode. Then, they would be entrusted to that illusory lord. Once they became god emperors, they would be revived. Who knew when they would become god emperors? In any case, they were going to burn themselves now. Empyrean God Tower Cloud was doing all of this for the sake of that treasure. As for what sort of treasure it was, Etienne wasn't sure. The reason why Empyrean God Surging Cloud was willing to risk his life to conquer the Heaven Cultivation God realm was because of that treasure. The Cultivation Heaven Domain Lord was also willing to risk everything to protect this treasure. They're going all out, we're going all out too. Region Lord Xiao Tian roared and took the lead in burning his own life force. They also didn't want to burn their life force. Even if they survived, they would suffer severe injuries that would take a long time to recover. Some of them couldn't recover no matter what they did and had to be supplemented with precious elixirs in order to recover. But now that things had come to this, they could only choose to fight with their lives on the line. But overall, they definitely had an advantage over their opponents. Although Etienne's healing couldn't fill the gap left by life ignition, it could at least heal their injuries. They were both fighting with their lives on the line, but at least they could fight for a while longer. The two groups began to fight fiercely. The Holy Peak Region Lord and the Myriad Heavens Region Lord led the heavenly gods in a vicious charge. This time, their goal is still the same, that is to kill Etienne first, everything else can be put aside. Only by killing Yi Tianyun, who could heal them, would they have a chance to kill Realm Lord Xiao Tian and the others. Stop them! Realm Lord Xiao Tian roared and unleashed all of his power to block the heavenly gods. They weren't the only ones. The patriarchs and the others also unleashed all of their power, all of them willing to sacrifice themselves. Empyrean god Towercloud's words were absolute orders. This was the tragedy of signing a contract. Everything was not up to them. It was up to others to decide. This was truly a tragedy. Piss off. The Holy Peak Region Lord and the others were responsible for paving the way. The two Peak Stage Region Lords were naturally powerful, and they charged forward, knocking aside a group of heavenly gods. The other heavenly gods behind them charged forward as well. They wanted to kill Yi Tianyun by force. They wouldn't stop until they killed Yi Tianyun. Hurry up and stop them! Realm Lord Xiao Tian and the others yelled, signaling the other elders to come and help. However, there was still a huge disparity in overall strength, so they couldn't help. In the end, two explosive heavenly gods charged toward Yi Tianyun. Oh no! Their hearts went cold. Forget about the other Empyreans, but an explosive heavenly deity, that was in existence on a whole different level. Even if they were lower heavenly gods, their power was still astonishing. They could definitely fight against ordinary lower heavenly venerables, or even late heavenly venerables. Yi Tianyun was only a middle heavenly venerable. How could they deal with him? Even heavenly venerable Jian Si and the others were nervous. This was a heavenly god that was burning his life force. How could they deal with him easily? Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. Indeed, explosive heavenly gods gave him great pressure, but that was all. Level up. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to middle heavenly venerable middle stage. Through continuous accumulation of experience, he had already reached the level of breaking through. Facing two heavenly gods, he naturally had to continue to level up. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to deal with them. 5 dragons roar. Yi Tianyun waved the 5 dragons' divine spear in his hand. 5 giant dragons whizzed forward. Combined with the effect of crazy damage mode, his combat power was greatly increased. The 5 giant dragons collided with them, and with a boom, the 2 explosive heavenly gods were blown away. His astonishing battle prowess stunned them all. A middle heavenly venerable could explode with the strength of a heavenly god? Wasn't this a joke? Reality wasn't joking with them. Yi Tianyun's attack caused them to quickly separate, and at the same time, they suffered some injuries. This was facing a pincer attack from 2 heavenly gods, and he was still able to repel them. This power was terrifying. This wasn't over yet. A figure suddenly appeared beside one of the heavenly gods. It was Yi Tianyun's body that wasn't considered burly. When he appeared beside the heavenly god, he fiercely swung his spear and directly pierced through the heavenly god's head. The attack was so fast that the heavenly god couldn't even react. After breaking through, he was even more heaven-defying. Chapter 1587. An explosive celestial was still killed by Yi Tianyun. This kind of strength was really amazing. Yi Tianyun was also surprised by his own strength. The increase in the basic foundation, coupled with the crazy damage mode, was really a perfect match. In addition, these celestial gods were not familiar with his fighting style, so they were naturally easily killed. Even if they exploded, they would still be killed by him. Bastard! After the other celestial god reacted, he roared and continued to attack. This time, he was prepared and was on full alert, worried that Yi Tianyun would choose to sneak attack again. But Yi Tianyun did not even think of continuing to sneak attack. Sneak attacks were fresh the first time, but a second time might not work. Especially against these celestial gods who used their full strength, the difficulty was undoubtedly a little higher. Open for me. The 5 dragon bracers in Yi Tianyun's hands flashed, and light quickly rushed up from the bracers and poured into the 5 dragon divine spear, directly increasing its power by a large margin. 5 dragon strengthening can greatly enhance the power of the 5 dragon divine spear, and at the same time increase the strength of the arm by 10 times. This was the skill effect of the bracers. Not only could it enhance the power of the 5 dragon divine spear, but it could also increase the strength of one's arm by 10 times. This was the effect of a middle-level Empyrean spirit treasure, and it was quite amazing. Boom! The 5 dragons that shot out became several times larger, and their power greatly increased. This celestial god who rushed over stared with wide eyes. He did not expect that Yi Tianyun could still become stronger, and he thought that was the limit. With a crazy exchange of blows, Yi Tianyun actually exchanged several blows with this celestial god, and there was no sign of him being defeated. Not only that, but the healing effect of Yi Tianyun continued, and did not stop. Their original goal was to interrupt Yi Tianyun's healing, or kill him. Now let alone kill Yi Tianyun, they could not even interrupt his healing. As expected of a celestial god who burns his life. Even if he increased his cultivation and erupted with 2 Empyrean spirit treasures, it is still not easy to deal with him. Yi Tianyun brandished the 5 dragon divine spear in his hand in a frenzy. His opponent also continuously blocked or counterattacked. But in his heart, he was horrified. A mere mid-level Empyrean was normally just an ant. But now, not only was this ant not weak, he even had the power to counterattack. Forget about him, even the others were deeply shocked. The heavenly god on their side was almost beaten up. Ha! Junior brother broke through again. This is truly inconceivable. Even if a heavenly deity went all out, they wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Little junior brother is indeed little junior brother. He doesn't need us to worry at all. He always makes us worry for nothing. That's right. We've been worrying for nothing. Every time, they turn their inferior quality into an advantage and crush them easily. Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. They originally thought that Yi Tianyun would be attacked fiercely, but who knew that it would be the other party who would be attacked fiercely. Even if they tied, Yi Tianyun would still be the winner. After all, Yi Tianyun didn't burn his life. If the other party burned his life, in terms of endurance, he would definitely be inferior to Yi Tianyun. If this continued, Yi Tianyun would definitely win. What's going on? Is he still a heavenly venerable? Sacred Peak Region Master and the rest didn't know where Yi Tianyun came from. How could he be so heaven-defying? Again. Yi Tianyun laughed loudly and fought to his heart's content. He crazily brandished the 5 dragon divine spear in his hand, and the 5 dragon gauntlet kept increasing his strength. Every time he smashed, his opponent would be knocked back a distance. It was a pity that he couldn't equip the evil Lord of Heaven set. Otherwise, his strength would definitely be even more heaven-defying. In order to be able to continue healing everyone, he could only do this. Losing a portion of his combat power in exchange for the endurance of everyone, so it was still very worth it. Under Yi Tianyun's suppression, the other party kept retreating. If this continued, he would definitely lose. He didn't expect that even with his full strength, he could only fight to a draw. How could this heavenly god tolerate this? But he couldn't tolerate it, he couldn't kill Yi Tianyun. On the contrary, as time passed, Yi Tianyun gradually pressed down on him, making him unable to breathe. Finally, after a while, Yi Tianyun took advantage of the gap in the opponent's defense and killed him with one move. Just like that, the sharp 5 dragon divine spear opened a hole in his body. This wasn't the end, Yi Tianyun continued to sweep crazily and cut his opponent into 4 pieces. Ding! Successfully killed a heavenly god. Reward, 6 million compressed EXP, 50,000 compressed crazy point. A bunch of data flooded Yi Tianyun's mind again. Successfully killing a heavenly god made Yi Tianyun feel very comfortable. Before, he used a sneak attack and used all kinds of moves to kill a heavenly god. Now, he can suppress a heavenly god with a frontal attack. Of course, this heavenly god's level can only be regarded as ordinary, not the top level, let alone an ancient heavenly god. But this is already enough to deter a group of people. Yi Tianyun used his own strength to slap them in the face. So many people risked their lives to kill, and even two heavenly gods, the end result is death, no exception. These heavenly gods are not bad, but they are still a bit lacking. Can you send more? Yi Tianyun just stood in the same place and continued to heal the injuries of his companions, except for a slightly lower aura. The rest of the injuries were not a problem. He just consumed a bit more energy, the other injuries are really not a big deal. With the super healing effect, naturally there will be no problem. The Saint Peak Domain Lord's face was pale. What can they do now? They had already gone all out in order for two heavenly deities to kill their way over. Now, they really didn't have any spare time. A bunch of trash. Heavenly God Torrential Cloud cursed, he went all out on his side, but he can't even kill a heavenly master. How can he survive? What are you still doing? Be fierce, kill them all. Immediately after, Heavenly God Torrential Cloud cursed again, telling them to go all out, don't delay anymore. Now that they are burning their life force, what is the concept of being fierce? Boom! Soon, a loud explosion sounded, the two heavenly gods in the process of fighting directly self-destructed. The power of a heavenly god's self-destruction is very terrifying, it directly blasted the surrounding cultivators, they were seriously injured, some even had their legs broken, some even lost half of their body. The effect of a heavenly god's self-destruction immediately manifested, it blasted a large number of people. The disadvantage is that even their own people were blown up, but the advantage is more obvious, it blew up a big hole. What is fierce? This is even more fierce. Chapter 1588. Boom! Another heavenly god exploded, sending Regent Lord Xiao Tian and the others flying. All of them were slightly injured. Fortunately, with the help of medicinal pills and Yi Tianyun's super support, the injuries on their body quickly recovered. However, the gap had already been created, and three heavenly gods charged toward Yi Tianyun. There had been two before, but now there were three heavenly gods. Their cultivation bases were a level higher than before, and one of them was a late-stage lesser heavenly god, far more powerful than the heavenly god who had fought against Yi Tianyun. The heavenly god who had fought against Yi Tianyun was only an early-stage lesser heavenly god. Now, he had directly skipped 2 levels and reached the level of a late-stage lesser celestial god. Coupled with the fact that he had burned his life force, there was no need to even mention how powerful he was. They self-detonated several heavenly gods not only because they wanted to make Regent Lord Xiao Tian and the others pay the price, but also because they wanted to force them back so they could rush over and kill Yi Tianyun. They had really gone all out this time. They had paid a hefty price to kill Yi Tianyun. However, this was the only price they could pay to break through the defense of Regent Lord Xiao Tian and the others. Regent Lord Xiao Tian and the others were not so aggressive. They had chosen to defend and slowly wear these guys down. However, these guys couldn't afford to wear them down, so they could only resort to cruel self-detonation. In the end, Heavenly God Torrential Cloud didn't want to take things slowly. He wanted to be quick and use the most violent method to suppress them. The effect was very obvious and very vicious. A large part of the sturdy defense was quickly disintegrated. This was the style of the evil spirit race. Even their own people were willing to pay any price to achieve their goals. Quick, go and save them. Regent Lord Xiao Tian gritted his teeth. He hadn't even been happy before, but now he had let quite a few heavenly gods go. Even if they were prepared, it would not be easy to stop such a self-detonation. Okay. The other heavenly gods wanted to quickly go and help, but there were several heavenly venerables standing in their way. Boom! These heavenly venerables self-detonated without hesitation, sending the heavenly gods who wanted to go and help them flying. He didn't expect that after the first wave of self-destruction, another wave would come. Now, no one could come to help. It should be said that they couldn't help even if they wanted to. These fellows came one after another to self-destruct as if they didn't care about money. The many years of nurturing seemed to have been meaningless. With a single self-detonation, it was reduced to dust, leaving nothing behind. This was exactly what Empyrean god Torrential Cloud wanted. As long as he could win, everything else would be fine. Die. The eyes of the three heavenly gods that rushed over were red. If Yi Tianyun didn't die, then they would. Numerous Empyrean spirit treasures appeared in the surroundings. They were already prepared to deal a fatal blow. Three heavenly gods, Yi Tianyun felt that things were getting tricky. These fellows were going all out, and they were even working together. It was possible to deal with them alone, but it would be quite difficult to deal with them together. However, he did not panic. Instead, he took a step forward and entered the void. The void bloodline wasn't just for show. As long as it was used well, it would have unexpected effects. He disappeared. He entered the void, he has the power of the void. The hearts of the three heavenly gods sank. Sure enough, they were not dealing with a small fry. Then, they waved the Empyrean spirit treasures in their hands and attacked the void beside them. The void here was not sturdy and could be destroyed. Following a loud explosion, a large area of the void collapsed. Immediately after, a figure appeared behind them, waving the five-dragon divine spear and launching a sneak attack in their direction. However, they were already prepared. The three of them quickly joined forces, and the 9 Empyrean spirit treasures circled around and launched a vicious pincer attack on Yi Tianyun. They had already seen Yi Tianyun's sneak attack ability before. How could they fall for it again? Thus, in the instant that Yi Tianyun launched a sneak attack, they had already launched a pincer attack. Their coordination was seamless. Kuan Peng bloodline, fully open. Dragon Phoenix divine meridians, fully open. The two speed-enhancing bloodlines were fully activated here, and their speed instantly soared. They instantly escaped the pincer attack and attacked the heavenly god with the lowest cultivation. Their attacks were very good, but Yi Tianyun's speed was even more astonishing. After easily dodging the attack, he pierced through with his spear and stabbed one of the heavenly gods. At the same time, he sneered and said, "I don't just have the ability to sneak attack, idiot." He quickly flicked and cut another heavenly god in half at the waist, killing him instantly. If Yi Tianyun only had this bit of sneak attack ability, he would have died many times already. He had many abilities, and when he used them layer by layer, they knew what a nightmare was. The three of them launched a pincer attack, but one of them was still killed by Yi Tianyun. To them, it was really a great humiliation. However, they did not fly into a rage. Instead, they attacked again and directly surrounded him from all sides, sealing off all escape routes. Too naive. That was just bait. You can't escape this time. They used all their skills. If they still could not keep Yi Tianyun here, then they would really have to die. However, it was true that their companion was bait, but they absolutely did not expect that the bait would lead to their deaths. This was something they never expected. Now that things had come to this, they had no way out. They could only use their killer moves to directly suppress Yi Tianyun. In an instant, the heavenly venerate spiritual treasures that surrounded him, each one emitted a dazzling light. They were even completely overdrawing their heavenly venerate spiritual treasures. This time, they really went all out to kill this evil heavenly venerate to avoid future troubles. All the cultivators watching this side, whether they were on their side or the enemy's side, felt their hearts tighten. The Xiutian domain master and the others felt that they could not be killed, but the enemy felt that they must be killed. You are too naive. Level up. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to the late middle heavenly venerate cultivation base. Boom. After deducting a large amount of experience, Yi Tianyun successfully leveled up again. All this time, he had been constantly gaining experience. After all, as a support, he could gain experience when others killed the enemy. Therefore, from the beginning of the fight, he had been constantly earning experience, and now he could level up again. After leveling up, his aura was like a rainbow. He waved the 5-dragon divine spear in his hand and directly collided head-on with them. 5-dragon roar. 5 giant dragons whizzed forward and collided with their attacks. Boom! A shocking explosion spread in all directions. The group of people's hearts tightened, and they all paid attention to this side. Was Yi Tianyun dead or alive? Chapter 1589. After being attacked fiercely, Yi Tianyun actually withstood it. This performance shocked them greatly. He can be even stronger, how is that possible? They all used all their skills. According to Yi Tianyun's previous performance, he definitely couldn't have easily withstood it. Now, not only did he resist, he could even withstand most of the power, and the injuries he suffered were only light injuries. This shocked them. Did he feel stronger again? Or was it that Yi Tianyun's defensive power was so strong to begin with? Carefree, again. Yi Tianyun laughed loudly. It felt great to be able to face them head-on. This was the effect he wanted. Being able to crazily crush all the way, that was the right way. Although sneak attacks were also good, compared to facing them head-on, it was still lacking. He liked to use this kind of unparalleled strength to face the opponent head-on. That was manly. Yi Tianyun seemed to have become a warmonger now. He waved the 5-dragon divine spear and swept it down, stabbing down again and again, fighting to a draw with these Empyrean gods. Logically speaking, Yi Tianyun was still lacking, but he made full use of his advantage in speed, quickly dodging their attacks and then clashing head-on with them, achieving the effect of a draw. It seemed like a pity that it was a draw, but in everyone's eyes, this was the most terrifying thing. A Middle Empyrean fighting to a draw with an Empyrean god was simply inconceivable. If it were anyone else, who could do this? Even an ancient Empyrean couldn't play like this, right? It was already very good that an ancient Empyrean could exchange a few blows with an ordinary Empyrean god and not be defeated. Now that he was fighting with 2 explosive Empyrean gods for so long, he was a freak among freaks. If this continued, Yi Tianyun would definitely win. After all, he didn't burn his life, but the other party did. As time passed, he would gradually become weaker and weaker, and soon, he would be unable to do as he wished. Madman, he's definitely a madman. The 2 Empyrean gods had ugly expressions. Every attack was like hitting cotton, they couldn't exert any strength at all. No matter how fiercely they attacked, it was meaningless. If Yi Tianyun could dodge it, even if they fought him head-on, they would still fight to a draw. What was the point of playing? If this continued, they would be dead for sure. Not only were they doomed, but their companions were doomed as well. As long as Yi Tianyun remained, his healing effect would continue to envelop the entire area. His endurance far exceeded theirs, so naturally, they couldn't afford to play with him. Explode! The St. Peak Domain Master's eyes were red. He could only sacrifice 2 of his subordinates. The 2 Empyrean gods were stunned at first, then they gritted their teeth, their eyes filled with unwillingness. However, they still pounced forward without hesitation. After all, they had no control over their own bodies. They had signed an absolute loyalty contract, so they naturally had to listen to the orders of their region master. These god realms were just that sick. When they joined, they had to sign an absolute loyalty contract. If he wanted them to self-detonate, they had to do it. There was no other choice, and they couldn't resist it. The 2 of them attacked Yi Tianyun from the front and back. Then, all the energy in their bodies burst out. Boom boom boom. The terrifying power of the explosion swept over and completely enveloped Yi Tianyun. The crazy explosion made it impossible for Yi Tianyun to teleport. This kind of explosion also had the effect of sealing the space. In particular, the explosion of the 2 Empyrean gods was equivalent to a super strong attack from an intermediate Empyrean god. Yi Tianyun quickly tore the space apart and quickly hid in the void. Even if he couldn't block all the attacks, he could at least block some of the power. Let's see how you survive this time. The Saint Peak Domain Master's eyes were red. They had sacrificed so much this time, but they still couldn't kill Yi Tianyun. Soon, the explosion disappeared, and Yi Tianyun's figure appeared from the void. There was a thick layer of shield around his body. It was a super strong shield released from the wrist guard in his hand. Even so, he had still suffered serious injuries. His body was covered in blood, and he looked very miserable. However, with his super strong healing ability, his injuries recovered quickly. It wouldn't take long for him to completely recover. He's fine. The Saint Peak Domain Master and the others were furious. 2 Empyrean gods had attacked from the front and back, and under such circumstances, he was only injured. When the explosion happened before, even intermediate Empyrean gods would be injured, and some would even be on the verge of death. Under such circumstances, Yi Tianyun had only suffered relatively serious injuries, but they weren't fatal. He just needed a little more time to completely recover. There was no doubt that the explosion had failed, and it still didn't kill Yi Tianyun. Fortunately, I almost died. Yi Tianyun looked at the wrist guard in his hand. Fortunately, he had refined the 5-dragon wrist guard. Not only could it increase his strength, but it could also increase his defense to the maximum, forming a super strong shield that could withstand the attack of an Empyrean god. However, the attack was too strong. He hid in the void, and with the help of the 5-dragon wrist guard, he finally withstood it. This also had to do with his strong body. With a strong body and the power of 2 bloodlines, he wouldn't die so easily. Of course, he wasn't afraid of death at all. After all, he had been reborn from the ashes. However, the fact that he was able to withstand it also proved that he was not weak. It was even more shocking than being reborn from the ashes. This kind of explosion is like firecrackers. How disappointing. Can you come up with something stronger? Yi Tianyun laughed loudly. The injuries on his body were quickly recovering. Even though he couldn't move freely, he could still talk. All right. Everyone's morale soared when they saw that Yi Tianyun was fine. With Yi Tianyun's support, they would be able to continue fighting. At the same time, they were also very shocked by Yi Tianyun's strength. With this kind of strength, why would he need their protection? Trash. What a bunch of trash. You can't even kill him like this. What a bunch of trash. Empyrean god Skysurge was about to explode with rage. They had paid such a heavy price, but they couldn't even take down a heavenly venerate. To him, they really were a bunch of trash. Now that they had self-detonated, their drawbacks were immediately revealed. Their numbers were rapidly decreasing. Their advantage in numbers was slowly becoming a disadvantage. If things continued like this, forget about crushing them, they would even be able to wipe out all of them. Empyrean god Skysurge, you're going to lose for sure. Empyrean god Yudong continued to exchange blows with Empyrean god Skysurge, but they were still evenly matched. Even though Empyrean god Yudong was more powerful than Empyrean god Skysurge, he was still unable to take down Empyrean god Skysurge with ease. Empyrean god Skysurge was a member of the evil spirit tribe, and he had absorbed the bloodlines of countless powerful beings. In particular, he was an elder of the heaven cultivation god realm, which allowed him to easily devour those cultivators. I'm going to lose. Empyrean god Skysurge chuckled coldly. It's not certain who's going to lose yet. Chapter 1590. Boom. After clashing with Heavenly God Yudong, Heavenly God Towering Cloud hurriedly retreated. He looked at the cultivators before him with a displeased expression. What a bunch of useless fools. What a waste of time and resources to nurture all of you. Even after joining forces, they still can't defeat a divine realm. What a bunch of trash. This is the only thing I can do now. Heavenly God Towering Cloud pulled out a black crystal before crushing it viciously. An inky black energy wafted out from the shattered crystal before being sucked into his nostrils. Moments later, Heavenly God Towering Cloud's body began to expand to an enormous size. The 4 wings on his back became 6, and 12 arms also sprouted from his back, all of which were wielding different Heavenly Venerate Spirit Treasures or Heavenly God Spirit Treasures. His aura surged explosively, and he actually forcibly raised it to the aura of an upper-level Heavenly God, crushing the group of people. Such an explosion of evolution caused many people to hold their breaths as they felt an incomparable pressure. This was especially so for his burly body, which was covered with black crystals. His perfect physique gave off an extremely valiant feeling. Yi Tianyun's expression instantly darkened as he looked over. Bloodline Awakening Eruption greatly enhances one's own power, granting one invincible power. Only beings with extremely dense bloodlines would be able to unleash this divine technique. Heavenly God Towering Cloud had used the Awakening Divine Stone to forcibly activate the awakening effect of his bloodline power, but he wouldn't be able to last very long, so this was a bloodline awakening eruption. No wonder it was so terrifying. The increase in power wasn't just a little bit. It was a jump of several levels in a row. How was this still the same level as before? Even though he wouldn't be able to last very long, he would still be able to last for a while. This peerlessly powerful aura was more than enough to crush all of them. This was an extremely powerful higher heavenly god, and Heavenly God Yudong was also a higher heavenly god. Who knew what would happen in a battle like this? Trash like you are all ants in the face of our perfect bloodlines. Heavenly God Towering Cloud roared with laughter as he swung the Heavenly Venerate Spirit Treasure in his hand, clashing with Heavenly God Yudong. Boom! Heavenly God Yudong was knocked flying. Even his frontal attack was no match for Heavenly God Towering Cloud's. After sending Empyrean Lord Yudong flying, Empyrean God Tower Cloud immediately charged towards Yi Tianyun. He was going to attack Yi Tianyun no matter what. He had been suppressing his anger for a very long time. He had wanted to charge over and kill him, but Empyrean God Yudong had blocked his path. Originally, he didn't want to erupt, but now he was forced to. After erupting, he would suffer losses. If it wasn't harmful to his body, he would have exploded a long time ago and wouldn't have waited until now. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one wanted to overdraft their own life to attack. Brat, hand over your life. Empyrean God Tower Cloud let out a thunderous roar as he charged forward in a frenzy. All of the cultivators in his path dodged and evaded him. Against an upper-level heavenly god, he really did not have the courage to resist. Even if he did, he would become cannon fodder. However, there were some who were unable to dodge quickly and immediately turned into a bloody mist. Regardless of whether they were allies or enemies, Empyrean God Tower Cloud completely ignored them as he swept his way forward. Run! The Great Devis and the others immediately sent mental messages to Yi Tianyun, telling him to hurry up and flee. Without question, Empyrean God Tower Cloud was charging straight for Yi Tianyun. If he didn't flee in time, Yi Tianyun would definitely be blasted to smithereens. Yi Tianyun was capable of defeating lesser Empyrean gods, and he could even exchange a few blows with intermediate Empyrean gods. However, there was no way he would be able to withstand a monstrously powerful Empyrean god like Tower Cloud. Thus, they all urged Yi Tianyun to flee before it was too late. Even Yi Tianyun felt the pressure on him increase, to say nothing of them. In the face of Empyrean God Tower Cloud's ferocious attacks, he would definitely be unable to resist at all and would be insta-killed. Let's go. Yi Tianyun didn't hesitate at all. He immediately turned and fled. It wasn't that he was a coward, rather, it was that this was the wisest choice. In addition, this was a way to draw him away from the battlefield. If he was allowed to do as he pleased, he would make a huge mess of things. You want to run? Empyrean God Tower Cloud was naturally not going to let Yi Tianyun off the hook. His speed immediately increased by several dozen times as he charged toward Yi Tianyun. He caught up to Yi Tianyun in the blink of an eye. Even Yi Tianyun was unable to see his terrifying speed. Is this the power of a higher heavenly god? Or could it be that the evil spirit tribe possesses such terrifying power after awakening their bloodlines? Yi Tianyun's heart jolted. He felt like this power was on a whole new level compared to that of Empyrean God Yudong. They were both at the early heavenly god stage, so why was there such a massive disparity between them? In the next instant, Empyrean God Tower Cloud extended a hand toward him. His massive hand was like the inky black sky as it came crashing down, cutting off all avenues of escape. Get in here. Empyrean God Tower Cloud's hand was extremely powerful, making it impossible for Yi Tianyun to teleport away. It was as if he were surrounded by a series of thick walls that he was unable to pass through. All of a sudden, all of his abilities had been rendered useless. In the face of this peerlessly powerful attack, he was completely powerless. Looks like I'm dead for sure. Yi Tianyun really felt like there was no way he could resist this attack unless his cultivation base improved to a higher level. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be able to defend himself. He wanted to level up now, but he couldn't even do that. He was still a long way off in terms of experience. In particular, the amount of experience required to break through to the upper heavenly venerate was astronomical. Even if he killed heavenly gods, he would have to kill several dozen of them before he could progress to the upper heavenly venerate. In this dire situation, a massive hand suddenly reached out from within the cultivation god realm before grabbing onto Empyrean God Tower Cloud's hand and crushing it. Bam! Empyrean God Tower Cloud's massive black hand was crushed, just like that. Humph! Empyrean God Tower Cloud let loose a muffled groan as he flew through the air. Black blood gushed from his mouth, indicating that he had sustained severe injuries. How dare a mere insect like you run amok in my territory? A projection appeared from within the cultivation god realm. This massive projection was like a god emperor that had descended upon this entire area. The cultivation heaven realm lord and the others all looked on with reverence in their eyes. We pay our respects, Patriarch. This projection was none other than the Patriarch of the cultivation god realm. He possessed peerless power and had awakened from his slumber. Upper heavenly god final stage. Yi Tianyun drew a sharp intake of breath. He didn't think that there would be such a powerful being within the cultivation god realm. Why had he only appeared now? In his eyes, there was only one possibility, and that was that he didn't have long to live, or that he was just a projection. Chapter 1591. After the ancestor appeared, he severely wounded Empyrean God Torrential Cloud in just a few blows. The seemingly invincible Empyrean God Torrential Cloud was sent flying, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The wings on his back quickly retracted. At the same time, the 12 arms quickly returned to their original state. His powerful physique had become shriveled up, his blood energy depleted, scattering extremely badly. This was the consequence of forcibly awakening a bloodline. Once interrupted, one's blood energy would be depleted, and one's body would become shriveled up like an old man. This power. Empyrean God Torrential Cloud's eyes were filled with terror. The Empyrean God realm has a patriarch like this? It was clear that Empyrean God Torrential Cloud didn't know about such a powerful being. He had been in the Empyrean God realm for so long, but he didn't even know about this patriarch. He had lived like a dog. Die! The patriarch reached out toward Empyrean God Torrential Cloud again, scaring him out of his wits. He took out a special black crystal, similar to the one he had taken before, but different. After crushing it, the void suddenly shattered, and a giant hand reached out and pulled him into the void. The void quickly filled back up, and everything was the same as before. The patriarch's attack naturally missed. It struck the void, and layers of terrifying energy spread out, giving the Holy Peak region lord and the others a fright. Run! Run! The Holy Peak region lord and the others immediately turned tail and ran. Even Empyrean God Torrential Cloud, who was controlling them, had fled. A bunch of disrespectful fools. Stay where you are. The patriarch waved his hand and continued to strike down, killing a Empyrean god with extreme ease. Lesser Empyrean gods and intermediate Empyrean gods were all killed with ease. When they saw the scene before them, all of them were extremely excited. Things were different with the help of a patriarch. He killed the invaders and even saved them. Otherwise, they would have been crushed by Empyrean god Torrential Cloud. Even if they survived, they probably wouldn't have much left. Yi Tianyun's heart was dripping blood when he saw this. His voodoo wood divine set couldn't support Patriarch Heaven cultivation, so he wouldn't gain any experience points when Patriarch Heaven cultivation killed these heavenly gods. Damn it! That Patriarch Heaven cultivator is just an illusion. I can't heal him at all. Yi Tianyun couldn't even help Patriarch Heaven cultivator if he wanted to. How was he supposed to help without a physical body? However, he didn't just stand there and watch. With a loud roar, he charged towards the other heavenly deities. If he could kill one, it would be one. He really wanted to break through to the upper sky sovereign realm. Every time he fought against those high-level heavenly gods, he felt a sense of helplessness. Therefore, breaking through his cultivation was imperative. Little junior brother seems to be angered. Just now, little junior brother was almost killed, that's right. He's probably very angry now and wants revenge. Poor little junior brother. Look at his expression, it's like he's missing some treasure. I can understand his feelings. He was forced into a dead end, yet he still kept chasing after him. What a tragedy. They shook their heads and felt sorry for Yi Tianyun. However, they were glad that he was fine. Otherwise, they would have lost such a powerful little junior brother. The surrounding cultivators all felt the same way. Patriarch Heaven cultivation could have easily taken care of them, but he had to do it himself. It seemed that he hated these invaders very much. Little did they know that Yi Tianyun was distressed by the experience points he had lost. How could he be happy about losing so much experience points? That kind of feeling was absolutely incomparable grief. Ah! It's all mine, it's all mine. Yi Tianyun brandished the five-dragon divine spear and killed heavenly venerables and heavenly gods one after another. However, he was still a far cry from Patriarch Heaven cultivation. Patriarch Heaven cultivation controlled the entire area with each palm strike. No one could escape. In just a short while, all the invaders were dead. Not a single one was left. This kind of power was really too powerful. However, they were puzzled. Why didn't they appear when they first invaded? If they had appeared, their losses wouldn't have been so great. Although they had Yi Tianyun's support and healing, they had still suffered heavy losses. Many heavenly venerables and heavenly gods had died. If Patriarch Heaven cultivation had appeared at the beginning, none of the invaders would have been able to return. However, they didn't ask. Who knew what Patriarch Heaven cultivation was thinking? Perhaps he wouldn't come out until the most critical moment. Sigh, you're on your own. Patriarch Heaven cultivation sighed deeply and disappeared. He didn't show up in person, nor did he stay any longer. Heavenly God Yudang flew over and knelt deeply. Farewell, Patriarch Heaven cultivation, farewell, Patriarch Heaven cultivation. The other disciples also knelt down to express their highest respect. However, many of them had never seen Patriarch Heaven cultivation before and didn't know of his existence. Even Heavenly God Torrent Cloud didn't know, let alone the other heavenly venerables and elders. Heavenly God Torrent Cloud had been here for who knew how many years. He was at least at the 1,000-year level, and some were even at the 10,000-year level. After sending off Patriarch Heaven cultivation, Heavenly God Yudang didn't say much. He just told them to pack up and return to the Heaven cultivation God realm to heal their injuries. When they all returned to the Great Hall, only the elders were left. One of them couldn't help but ask, Patriarch Yudang, why didn't Patriarch Heaven cultivation appear at the beginning? Heavenly God Yudang shook his head and sighed deeply. Actually, I was the one who summoned Patriarch Heaven cultivation. Patriarch Heaven cultivation has fused with the Heaven cultivation God realm. Every time he appears, he will fall into a deep slumber for 10,000 years. If it weren't for the fact that I had no other choice, I wouldn't have wasted this opportunity. It will definitely save my life at the most critical moment. It was a little dangerous this time, but it's not the most critical moment yet. After all, with little friend Heavenly Cloud's help, even if there are some sacrifices, it's still possible to stabilize the situation. Heavenly God Yudang explained a little, and they immediately understood what he meant. So there was such a thing. Once he appeared, he would sleep for 10,000 years. Everyone had seen Patriarch Heaven Cultivation's power just now. He was so powerful that he wouldn't even be afraid of several upper heavenly gods. But now, he had wasted it on an upper heavenly god and some mid-level heavenly gods. How could they not feel pity? It was an absolutely life-saving trump card at the most critical moment, but now that he had used it, it was a mixed blessing. Chapter 1592. After everyone heard the news, they looked at each other and saw the worry in each other's eyes. Even Heavenly God Torrential Cloud had been rescued just then, so there was undoubtedly an even more powerful force behind the scenes. If they were to make a comeback, they would most likely be unable to stop them. When Zhang Xian first saw the Heaven Ascension Sect's old ancestor, he had thought that he was an existence hidden in the depths of the world. Now that he had woken up from his seclusion, he decided to save the Heaven Ascension Sect's god realm. However, the truth was that the Heaven Cultivator Patriarch was already dead. It was just that his body and soul had merged with the Heaven Cultivator God domain, so that he could come out at the critical moment to save them. Now that the opportunity was gone, he wouldn't be able to save the situation next time. No wonder Empyrean God Yulang didn't summon it immediately. He didn't want to use it unless he had to. He had no choice but to use it at this critical moment. If they didn't use it now, they would be annihilated. At that time, it would be useless to keep them alive. However, a single Empyrean God Heaven surge had forced them to summon Patriarch Heaven Repairman. What would happen next? As a result, their hearts grew heavy. First, they had betrayed a large group of people, and now they had to use Ancestor Heaven cultivation. It could be said that every step from now on would be difficult. Thinking back to what Patriarch Heaven Cultivation had said before, he had told them to take care of themselves. He really did take care of themselves. Is there no way to help Patriarch Sky Cultivator recover quickly, Patriarch Yudang? Even if I don't recover immediately, I can at least recover some of my strength. Realm Lord Heaven Cultivation had no choice but to take a step back and see if there was a way to help Patriarch Heaven Cultivation recover. It would be good if he could shorten it a little. Otherwise, if he waited for it to recover bit by bit, it would be too slow. What do you think of that surge of power just now? Empyrean God Yudang asked. Very powerful, almost an invincible existence. He has probably reached the late upper heavenly god level, right? Region Lord Xiutian said. Yes, it's indeed very powerful. It's precisely because it's very powerful that you think there's anything that can easily recover from it. Or should I say, someone who can recover substantially? Empyrean God Yudang asked. This, Area Lord Xiutian and the others looked at each other in dismay. After thinking about it carefully, they realized that this was indeed the case. The items needed to recover such great power were extremely complicated and of a very high level. Even if they threw everything they had into the Heaven Cultivating God realm, they wouldn't be able to recover much. The stronger one's cultivation was, the slower the rate of recovery would be. The main thing was that the item's grade was too low, so the effects wouldn't be too great. They all had a deep understanding of this point. Pills that were effective for those with low cultivation bases would only have the same effect as an itch to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been stuck at this level and couldn't even take a single step forward. We can only rely on ourselves now. Patriarch Heaven Cultivation is about to enter a deep slumber, but it seems that they won't be able to attack us anytime soon. Heavenly Deity Yudang said solemnly, but we can't let our guard down. We must remain vigilant. If a fight breaks out, we can only defend until the end. Everyone nodded. They already had this thought, and it was impossible for them to retreat. Moreover, it was useless to retreat. With the evil spirit race's personality, they would definitely kill them all and not let a single one of them go. Senior, thank you for summoning Patriarch Heaven Cultivation to save this junior. If it weren't for Senior, this junior would have lost his head long ago, said Yi Tianyun gratefully. If he didn't summon it immediately, he would have been killed. Of course, he wouldn't die. He was afraid of being trapped. That was the most difficult part. After being killed, he could revive very quickly. If he was trapped, he wouldn't be able to escape. After all, if he was trapped, he wouldn't be able to earn experience. He wouldn't be able to escape even if he wanted to. Although he was constantly gaining experience, it was still too little. It was like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water. Right now, he was indeed constantly gaining experience. It was from the divine realm of the three realms. Whenever they made a breakthrough or killed demonic beasts, he would be able to gain experience. But these experience points were too low. The amount of experience he needed now was too high. But if he was really trapped, he could only endure it slowly. When he reached a certain point, he would be able to break through and rush out. No matter what, he had to thank Patriarch Heaven Cultivation for saving his life. Otherwise, Patriarch Taoyun would have devoured him. At that time, it would not be an easy thing to resurrect. Don't worry about that. You've helped us more. Heavenly Deity Yudong sighed. It's a pity. If I could stop him, it wouldn't be so urgent. Unfortunately, I'm seriously injured and can't recover. Patriarch Yudong, you're injured. They looked at Heavenly Deity Yudong in shock. Heavenly Deity Yudong hadn't been attacked before. How could he be injured? Heavenly Deity Yudong gently pulled open his clothes. There were dense black patterns on them. They looked quite terrifying. It was as if something had implanted them on the surface of his body. Evil energy rushed toward him. Their eyes widened. Heavenly Deity Yudong had this kind of situation. Yi Tianyun focused his eyes. He looked at Heavenly Deity Yudong's body and immediately saw some clues. Wretch God's Pearl, Ultra Heavenly God's Spirit Treasure. Seals a portion of the Wretch God's power. The wielder will be slowly devoured. When used, it can summon a powerful Wretch God to resist everything. What's going on? When they saw this scene, they were completely stunned. They didn't expect Heavenly Deity Yudong's body to look like this. This is the treasure they want. It has been passed down from generation to generation. They used their bodies to seal this evil spirit's pearl. Heavenly Deity Yudong said in a low voice, this has always been a secret. It can only be passed down to the next generation. So it's normal that you don't know. Now that it's exposed, you might as well say it. Otherwise, you won't know what you're guarding. A long time ago, our heavenly deity realm was one of the main forces resisting the main culprits of the Battle of God Emperors. After the strongest evil spirits were sealed, we were divided into several regions. Among them, the evil spirit's pearl in my body is sealing the limbs of the evil spirits. Heavenly Deity Yudong explained, I can use the power inside, but my body can't. If I continue to use it, it will continue to corrode. In the end, I could only use the power of Heavenly Deity Realm Patriarch. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to deal with them. The simple explanation stunned them all. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. Although Yi Tianyun already knew a little, he couldn't help but be shocked when he heard it. Evil spirits? Heavenly Deity Realm Lord was confused. Yes, there are no records of it now. In fact, the real culprit is the evil spirits, the guy who calls himself evil spirits. But I have to say, he is the expert closest to the God Emperor realm. He plundered a lot of people's bloodlines to break through to the God Emperor realm. Chapter 1593. Empyrean God Yudong gave a simple explanation, and all of them were stunned after hearing it. The general gist of it was that after the evil spirits were sealed, they were sealed in several pearls, each of which contained the bodies of the evil spirits. Once they were gathered, the evil spirits would be resurrected. Who would have thought that they would still be alive even after being cut into so many pieces? This was enough to show just how terrifying the evil spirits were. Back then, in the Battle of Emperor Gods, everything had ended quickly after the evil god had been sealed. Otherwise, the battle would definitely have continued until the evil god had broken through to become an emperor god. No wonder Empyrean god Torrential Cloud has been lurking here for so long. He's searching for the evil spirit's pearl, right? Realm Lord Xiao Tian was puzzled. That's right. They're heading straight for the evil spirit's pearl. However, only I know about this. I don't know where Empyrean god Torrential Cloud is. He would never have thought that the heretic god's orb would fuse with the inheritor, right? There's no way to sense it in its normal state. However, the power of the evil spirits is simply too powerful. According to the inheritors, you will be the next inheritor. Empyrean god Yudong looked at Realm Lord Xiao Tian. In other words, you will be the next inheritor to use your body to seal the evil spirit's pearl. This process will be painful, but this is the only way to prevent the destruction of the god realm. Realm Lord Xiao Tian and the others' hearts trembled. They didn't think that they would be given such an arduous task. The Heaven Cultivation God realm was a very normal god realm, but they were suddenly told that they had to shoulder the responsibility of being the saviors of the world. However, it really isn't worth it to put our Heaven Cultivation God realm in danger. A wry smile appeared on the faces of Realm Lord Xiao Tian and the others. They weren't the most powerful faction, but it wasn't worth it to seal this thing. It is indeed not worth it, but we can use the evil spirit's pearl to unleash even more power. Your body is still very strong and young, so you can use it for a long time. When you truly unleash your full power, you will be able to sweep through all intermediate heavenly gods. When you break through to the upper heavenly god stage, you will also be able to stand at an extremely high level among the upper heavenly gods. Moreover, our heavenly god domain is able to obtain the protection of some experts of the older generation. Of course, they didn't seem to have appeared earlier. Perhaps they would only appear at the most critical moment. It's also possible that it won't appear, so I don't dare to take the risk. Towards the end, heavenly deity Yudong felt a little awkward. Who could be certain of the oath he made back then? If the older generation were all in seclusion or had long since ceased to exist, and no one came to rescue them, they would really be waiting for death. Everyone looked at the evil spirit's pearl on heavenly god Yudong's chest. It had already sunk deep into his body. Although he was not injured, his energy had been continuously absorbed, and he was still lacking in strength. Now, I'm telling you about this matter. It's already a critical moment. I have to confess and let you know what responsibility is. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to figure out why we were captured one day, Empyrean god Yudong said. Heavenly Cultivation Realm Lord and the others finally understood why Empyrean god Sky Tower was fighting so desperately. It was all for this evil spirit's pearl. I think those seniors will most likely come to rescue us. If they don't, Empyrean god Sky Tower will definitely bring more of his comrades to attack us. However, he won't dare to do anything rash. A small scuffle might not attract attention, but if he goes overboard, he will most likely attract attention, Yi Tianyun interjected. Everyone nodded. They had all thought of this. If it weren't for this, the evil spirit tribe would most likely have already charged out. That should be the case. Empyrean god Yudong sighed. However, we lost the evil spirit's pearl. Without this responsibility, the heavenly god domain probably wouldn't have lasted for so long. Most forces will quickly decline, but our heavenly god domain is still very strong. It's all thanks to the protection of our ancestors and the protection of the evil spirit's pearl that we are able to survive. There were so many forces in the heavenly god domain, and it was very common for them to disappear and reappear. The heavenly god domain being so strong really did have something to do with the protection of the evil spirit's pearl. Senior, do the 4th grade heavenly god domains have a similar responsibility? Yi Tianyun asked. I'm not sure about that. Everything is extremely secretive. The most I know is that the evil spirits are divided into several pearls, but I really don't know who takes them and who controls them, Empyrean god Yudong explained. This is most likely for the sake of concealment. This is a very dangerous matter, and it definitely can't be disclosed. Everyone present was a core member of the heavenly god domain, so they were all trustworthy. Only Yi Tianyun and the others were not disciples of the heavenly god domain, but they had all helped the heavenly god domain, especially Yi Tianyun, who had helped them a lot. Under such circumstances, Empyrean god Yudong had already regarded him as one of his own, so he naturally wouldn't avoid suspicion. Everyone nodded. The evil spirit's pearl was such a precious treasure, and it was used to seal the evil spirits. If the evil spirit race knew about it, they would definitely rush over to snatch it. Therefore, it was very correct not to disclose it. It had to be completely hidden. As for burying it in the ground, it was better to carry it with him. That was the safest. At the same time, he could use his own strength to suppress it. It was really more effective than any formation. But the price was very obvious. Empyrean god Yudong, who was an upper heavenly god, was affected to this extent. It was enough to show how terrifying the evil spirits were. I can still hold on for a while, but I want to ask you now, are you willing to accept this heavy responsibility? Empyrean god Yudong looked at him with a serious expression. This was a very serious matter. I am willing to accept this heavy responsibility. Heavenly God Domain Lord did not hesitate and immediately agreed. Perhaps others did not know what they had sacrificed, but at least one thing was clear, and that was to continue to seal the evil spirits, so that there would not be another battle between God Emperors. Only in this way could they protect their own forces. The others did not know, but it was enough to protect their own forces. The great Devis looked at his father and did not say anything. Perhaps the next inheritor would be him. The premise was that he could really wait until then. Yi Tianyun immediately felt deep respect for their actions. It seemed that the heavenly god domain also had a bright side. They sought geniuses and constantly nurtured geniuses. They wanted to greatly strengthen the heavenly god domain in a short period of time, so that they could protect the evil spirit's pearl. However, a super expert was not so easy to nurture, even a genius would not be able to do so. In this state, it was really dangerous to still protect such a thing. Chapter 1594. Yi Tianyun was very impressed by Old Master Chen's awareness. However, if it was him, he would do the same. It was not that he was a savior, but that the evil spirits had brought about a calamity when they had descended. No matter what faction it was, they would be affected. It did not matter if the other factions were affected, but in the end, their own factions would definitely be affected. Moreover, most of the factions had chosen to resist the evil spirit race, so as long as the other factions were not finished, the evil spirit race would not be particularly rampant. Just as he was thinking about something, heavenly deity Yu Dang looked at them and said, "Little friend, your performance this time is excellent. I will put down my pride and ask little friend to help the Heaven Cultivation God Realm. Perhaps the Heaven Cultivation God Realm has let you down, but please do not mind. From today onwards, the Heaven Cultivation God Realm will definitely treat you like an elder. We will not treat you badly either. We will give you all kinds of resources and even provide you with the best cultivation place." Heavenly deity Yu Dang had really put down his pride and come to rope in Yi Tianyun. Everyone had seen Yi Tianyun's performance. Not only could he kill heavenly gods, but he could also heal everyone. He also had the foundation of a 10 refinement Earth Lord. Just these points alone were enough for him to be an elder. However, if Yi Tianyun did not join, he would not be able to become an elder, right? But even if he joined, it would not be so easy to become an elder. He had helped a lot, but it would be too much to become an elder just like that. Many people did not understand what kind of personality Yi Tianyun had and what the real situation was. Becoming an elder just like that was undoubtedly too child's play. The current situation would be better. Most of the heavenly venerables and heavenly gods had received his help, which would undoubtedly help him become an elder. However, he had no interest in the position of an elder. The reason he could come to help the heaven cultivation god realm was largely because the great Devis was here. Yi Tianyun was not in a hurry to answer. Instead, he turned to look at the great Devis, wanting to see what his master had to say. If the great Devis said that he would become an elder, then he would become an elder here. Heavenly Cloud has its own faction, and it has more to manage. There's no need for me to join. The great Devis shook his head and said, but you don't need to say anything, Patriarch Yudong. He'll definitely come to help. Just because I'm here as his master, he will definitely come over to help. The great Devis shook his head and smiled bitterly. As the master, how could he not know the reason? Wasn't it because of him that Yi Tianyun and the others were able to arrive in time? Could it be that they saw injustice and pulled out their swords to help? Thank you for your kindness, Senior. Junior's words are indeed reasonable. You don't even need to say anything, this Junior will come over to help. Moreover, after learning about the evil spirit's orb, I knew I couldn't escape. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly and said, if I don't act, once the evil spirit's orb gathers, all the forces will be finished. Including my faction, there's no way I can refuse. Yi Tianyun was a sensible person, and they also knew what it meant. Once the evil spirits came again, everything would fall into darkness. Who could escape then? If they were not willing to come over to help, when the forces were finished, their own forces would definitely be affected. As for surrendering, that was not a problem. They would become their slaves for life. This was undoubtedly a choice that no one wanted to see. Sigh, little friend is still sensible. However, many people are still interested in the power of the evil spirits. Even if it's not the evil spirit tribe, many people will want to have the evil spirit's orb for the power within it. Heavenly God Yudong shook his head, somewhat blinded by greed. They coveted a moment of invincibility and wanted to have the evil spirit's orb. They didn't care about the consequences of gathering the evil spirit's orb. They only thought about how many forces they could rule when they had the evil spirit's orb. What they didn't know was that although the evil spirit's orb was very powerful, it was not invincible. When surrounded by the powerful evil spirit tribe, it was still easy to be killed. Or like heavenly god Yudong, his body was slowly eroded, but in the end, it was all for naught. However, they just coveted a moment of invincibility, nothing else mattered. There were quite a few of such people, and in fact, a lot of them. Therefore, it was a very correct choice not to publicize it. There was no need to make things difficult for themselves. Then let's not talk about the rest. We will still give you the resources that should be given. Your authority will be set at the level of an elder. Heavenly God Yudong still gave Yi Tianyun the authority of an elder. Although he wouldn't join, he would still help in the future. If he didn't give some benefits, he would really feel bad. Especially since he had helped so much this time, even if he didn't want to give any rewards, he had to. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Of course, Yi Tianyun wouldn't stand on ceremony. He was going to help in the future, and he was risking his life to help. If he didn't even give some benefits, it would really be disappointing. Thus, they began to discuss some things, such as the defense plan. No one knew when Heavenly God torrential clouds would attack again, so they had to be prepared for anything. Just as they were discussing a bunch of things, Yi Tianyun interjected, "Seniors, have you never considered forming an alliance? It was very difficult for just one power to do anything. They had to gather together in order to have a chance of resisting the evil spirits. We've considered it, but we're not confident that these so-called alliances won't stab us in the back." Wry smiles appeared on their faces. They couldn't even trust their own people, let alone allies. Of course, the alliances I'm talking about are those that possess the evil spirit's pearl. Is there no news at all? If they wanted to form a true alliance, they definitely wouldn't be able to trust any random power. However, if they were all guardians of the evil spirit's pearl, then things would be different. They all had heavy responsibilities on their shoulders, so it would be perfect if they were united. It's impossible to say that there is no news at all, but I'm not sure if I'm 100% sure. Heavenly God Yudang thought for a moment before saying, I heard that among the fourth grade god realms, the Yuelong god realm, the most powerful one, might be the guardian of the evil spirit's pearl, and the Fekta god realm might also be the guardian of the evil spirit's pearl. The Yuelong god realm and the Fekta god realm? Yi Tianyun thought of the Fekta god realm. Heavenly God Torrential Cloud suspected that he was a disciple of the Fekta god realm, but this was too mysterious, so he decided not to talk about it. Then, he thought for a moment before saying, the Fekta god realm is too mysterious, and it's difficult to contact them. Are you not going to contact the Yuelong god realm? This. They looked at Yi Tianyun with strange expressions. Heavenly Sovereign Sword C nudged Yi Tianyun with his elbow and said with a smile, little junior brother, you don't even know what the Yuelong god realm is like? I really don't know about this. Yi Tianyun shook his head. The Yuelong god realm is full of female cultivators, and it is extremely repulsive to males. Let alone an alliance, any male that enters will be chased out, and in serious cases, they will be killed. How do you think we're going to contact them? Heavenly Sovereign Sword C said with a smile. This. Chapter 1595. Who would have thought that this Yuelong god domain was made up of only female cultivators? This shocked Yi Tianyun greatly. He was shocked that there was such a special god domain in the god domain. If it was a small force, it wouldn't be strange if they were all female cultivators. But now, the entire god domain was made up of female cultivators. This was especially shocking. It was simply a special existence among the many god domains. There's such a special god domain, and its overall strength is ranked first? Yi Tianyun was shocked. That's right, this is indeed shocking. Yuelong god domain only recruits female cultivators. As long as they are female cultivators, they will be recruited, regardless of their cultivation, talent, or age. The great Devis shook his head and said. The overall strength ranked first was actually female cultivators. All along, in most regions, men were superior to women. But now, they were being ruthlessly crushed. Some forces felt really upset. Perhaps this is because Yuelong god domain constantly recruits female cultivators. That's why it has such a standard. By constantly recruiting female cultivators, the chances of finding geniuses are higher. After all, most forces don't put female cultivators in an important position. On this point, it's the same as those disciples with average or average talent. When it accumulates to a certain extent, it will become very terrifying. Yi Tianyun's words exposed the truth, and it was a very cruel truth. Women held up half the sky. The number of female cultivators was also incomparably shocking. But most of them didn't get the status or respect they deserved. Unless they performed extremely well from the start, or if they came from an illustrious family, it would be easy for them to get respect. Thus, most of the female cultivators in this region chose to join Yuelong god domain. This resulted in Yuelong god domain having many talented female cultivators. This caused the other god domains to be incomparably embarrassed. By the time they reacted, it was already too late. Yuelong god domain had already surpassed most god domains, becoming an outstanding existence among the fourth grade god domains. These words indeed made them feel incomparably embarrassed. Especially the second half of Yi Tianyun's words, it really pierced the hearts of the elders who supported genius. However, they had no way of rebutting him now. Yuelong's god domain was an example. He recruited all kinds of disciples. Some of them were female cultivators that weren't valued at all. But in the end, all of them turned over a new leaf and became the strongest of their generation. It turned out that female cultivators could also hold up half of the sky, and they were the very powerful ones. That's true. The great Devis, who was at the side, laughed. This disciple of his was truly ruthless. Even at a time like this, he did not forget to improve himself. That's more or less what it means. The other party is all female cultivators and they are extremely repellent towards cultivation. Even if we go over to contact them, they might not even respond. After all, there are quite a few female cultivators, who left through us. Their situation is rather awkward. This was the awkward part. Those who couldn't be put in an important position would be put in an important position in the past and soar to the sky. Any faction would have slapped their thighs in regret over such a matter. However, this was the status of female cultivators. The concept of men being superior to women was deeply ingrained and could not be changed in a short period of time. Even so, no matter what, they would still consider old friendships, right? Tianyun asked doubtfully. Old friendships, huh? Domain Lord Xiutian and the others laughed awkwardly. Although they did not explain, Tianyun had a rough idea of what was going on. Without a doubt, there was no such thing as old friendships. They were directly treated coldly. Why would they care about them? Under such circumstances, wouldn't they be chased out of Yuelong's god domain? Even so, they should know some information. For example, you are the protectors, and they will contact you, right? How to put it? As the protectors, they should be united. It would be great if that was the case. As the number one faction in the god domain, they should not be in any danger. Why would they contact us? Domain Lord Xiutian shook his head. We have thought about this long ago, but we want to, but they don't. We tried to contact them once or twice, but who knew that we would be chased out and refused to see them? So resistant. Tianyun was shocked. No matter what, there shouldn't be a problem with contacting them, right? They are so resistant. Unless someone introduces them, there is no way to contact them. Domain Lord Xiutian and the others shook their heads and laughed bitterly. Someone introduces them. Then why don't you find someone to introduce you? Tianyun looked at them and said. That is true. But if the introducer's status is too low, there is no meaning. If their status is too high, they won't care about us. Domain Lord Xiutian shook his head. Oh right, there is a female cultivator with a good status. Even though she is no longer in Yuelong's god domain, her reputation is good. But she has disappeared recently. I don't know where she went. The great Devis said. Which female cultivator? Tianyun asked curiously. Supreme Feng Qiu. The great Devis said in a low voice. Supreme Feng Qiu has a very high status in Yuelong's god domain. She is equivalent to an elder. But she suddenly left. But recently, it was revealed that she is a witch, that her parents are the main culprits of the God-Emperor battle. It is simply a joke. However, these words will deceive many cultivators, and they will believe it to be true. If we find Supreme Feng Qiu, we can introduce her. But whether or not they will allow us to form an alliance is another matter. Tianyun had a strange expression. He did not expect Supreme Feng Qiu to have such a shocking status. He thought that she was a lone traveler from the start. So she was not a lone traveler from the start. She had a very high status in Yuelong's god domain. Little junior brother, aren't you quite familiar with Supreme Feng Qiu? Why don't you ask her? Sword Sea Heavenly Venerable said from the side. Everyone looked at him. They did not expect that Tianyun and Supreme Feng Qiu would be quite familiar. This is indeed very familiar. Tianyun laughed. Not only were they familiar, they were from their own forces. Now that they had joined the god domain of the three realms, if Supreme Feng Qiu brought them over, what would they do if the other side pulled them back? This time, their eyes lit up. If they could form an alliance, they would have a backer. If a war broke out, Yuelong's god domain would immediately send reinforcements. Ding, received special quest forming an alliance with Yuelong's god domain. After completion, received reward of main quest difficulty reduced by half. At the same time, received 10,000 crazy points, 10,000 proficiency points, and increased friendship between Yuelong's god domain and heaven cultivation god domain. Chapter 1596. This special mission is about forming an alliance with my faction. As for Xiu Tian god domain, that's just along the way. If one looked closely, they would realize that it was different. It was not to form an alliance for Xiu Tian god domain, but to use the Three Realms god domain as a representative to form an alliance with Yuelong god domain. If they formed an alliance with Yuelong god domain, then Xiu Tian god domain was basically just along the way. Then Yi Tianyun looked at them and smiled. Alright, I'll go talk to Feng Qiuzun, you guys can send a representative over. The representative is the great clan elder. Xiu Tian domain lord did not even think, and clapped his hands to let the great Devis go over. The great Devis was not only the great clan elder, he was also his son. What was there not to trust? There would be no problem letting the great Devis go over to handle it. Moreover, with his own disciple, there was no need to talk about it. It would undoubtedly be more convenient to discuss matters. Alright, I'll go find Feng Qiuzun now. Yi Tianyun did not say it out loud. Feng Qiuzun was staying in his Three Realms god domain. He would be scared to death if he said it. Feng Qiuzun, who was so hard to deal with, was actually dealt with by him. Following that, Yi Tianyun turned and left. He was originally a little hesitant, wondering if he should go find Feng Qiuzun. Now that he thought about it, it was for the sake of his Three Realms god domain. It was better to go contact Yuelong god domain. Thinking about it, the goal was the same a long time ago. It meant that both had similar thoughts. This way, communication would be easier. Very quickly, he returned to the Three Realms god domain, and found Feng Qiuzun, who was running around in the Three Realms god domain. When he found her, she was still teaching them all sorts of martial arts, or giving them pointers. It had to be said that Feng Qiuzun really enjoyed it, and could not stay idle for even a moment. Feng Qiuzun, have you never thought of resting? You don't need to do this. Yi Tianyun did not know whether to laugh or cry. I really can't stay idle. You've helped me so much. Staying here and doing nothing, it's really embarrassing. Feng Qiuzun smiled embarrassedly. Alright, but you'll be able to help me with something soon. Yi Tianyun smiled lightly. What kind of help? Feng Qiuzun's eyes lit up. It was obvious that he belonged to the type that would feel uncomfortable if he did not help. Were you in Yuelong's god domain a long time ago? Yi Tianyun asked directly. Yes, I've stayed in Yuelong god domain before. What's the matter? Venerable Feng Qiu asked curiously. She didn't hide anything. Those who knew a little about her long ago knew that she had stayed in the Yuelong god domain. Yes, I want the Three Realms deity domain to form an alliance with the Yuelong deity domain. Yi Tianyun did not talk about the Xiutian deity domain, but about the Three Realms deity domain. Alliance with Yuelong god domain? Venerable Feng Qiu was stunned when she heard this. Yes, the Three Realms deity realm is allied with Yuelong deity realm. Hence, I need you to introduce me. Otherwise, if I go over, I will definitely be kicked out. Yi Tianyun laughed. I'm afraid that won't be possible. It's a little too difficult. Even if I were to recommend him, it would be very difficult. She knew how strong the Three Realms deity realm was. To actually form an alliance with Yuelong god domain, wasn't the difference too great? The so-called alliance, first of all, the difference between the two sides couldn't be too great, or they had the same status. Only then could it be called an alliance. If the difference was too great, then it wouldn't be an alliance, but a vassal. This was like an ordinary cultivator saying that he wanted to be friends with a powerful Empyrean. Unless he had saved the Empyrean, why would the Empyrean lower himself to befriend him? I know this. Leave the rest to me. I will make Yuelong god domain acknowledge us. Yi Tianyun smiled, full of confidence. Since that's the case, then no problem. The recommendation isn't difficult. I can't help much from it. The difficulty is too great. Even if I had some authority in Yuelong God domain in the past, I can't completely interfere. Venerable Feng Qiu shook her head. She would recommend him, but this was a small favor. Whether or not it would succeed was not up to her. All right, wait for me here. When I'm ready, I'll come find you. After Yi Tianyun gave his instructions, he directly went to the dark trial area. When he came to the dark trial area, the artifact spirit appeared again. It looked at him and asked, "Are you ready?" With my current cultivation, how high is the success rate? Yi Tianyun asked. Your cultivation has already broken through, but the success rate is still 50-50. Everything depends on your luck. The artifact spirit still threw out this success rate, making him feel very speechless. Previously, it was 50-50. Now that his cultivation had risen by 2 levels, the success rate was still the same. He didn't know what to say. Could it be based on my previous strength? Yi Tianyun thought about it. If the opponent was very strong, even if he broke through by 2 levels, the artifact spirit's data was not enough to increase the success rate. After thinking for a while, Yi Tianyun still decided to go for the trial. His overall strength could even fight against a middle heavenly god. It couldn't be that there was such a strong existence inside, right? I'll continue to participate in the trial. Yi Tianyun walked over and said. In his opinion, since the other party gave a 50-50 success rate, then the difficulty might be within the acceptable range. Alright, then please enter. The artifact spirit waved his hand, and the passage in front opened slightly. Yi Tianyun didn't hesitate to enter, but as soon as he entered, he immediately felt an evil force coming towards him. When he took a closer look, he discovered that there was a dried corpse floating in the air. On this dried corpse, there was a pearl embedded. Evil spirit's orb. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed, but he didn't show any surprise. Everything was within his expectations. When he knew that there was an evil spirit's orb, he guessed that there would be an evil spirit's orb here. After thinking about it carefully, he felt that there would definitely be an evil spirit's orb here. This was an area set up by the divine spirit race. One of the reasons they spent so much was to seal the evil spirit's orb. If he obtained the evil spirit's orb, then the alliance would be assured. As protectors, no one wished for anything to happen to the other. This was the reason why he let Feng Qiu Zun rest assured. With the evil spirit's orb, he could be a companion. He just didn't know if the evil spirit's orb was sealed, or if it appeared in some other form. Now he knew, it appeared in the form of a corpse. The opponent in the last stage, was most likely a possessor controlled by the power of evil spirits? Could it be that this is the original master of the 3 realms deity realm? Chapter 1597. Vaguely, Yi Tianyun could see a head floating in the evil spirit's pearl. The appraisal eye also displayed the information in front of him. Evil spirit's pearl, the head of the evil spirits is sealed in it. It has the most terrifying power of the evil spirits. Sealing it requires a lot of power. When used at the same time, it has the terrifying power of the evil spirits, which is enough to destroy everything. The corrosive effect is far greater than the other parts of the evil spirits. As expected, the head of the evil spirits is sealed here. Otherwise, there would not be such a heaven-defying god seal here in the god realm of the 3 realms. When all kinds of seals are stacked together, the power of the evil spirit's pearl can be sealed. However, if the person possessed by the evil god's pearl was really the leader of the divine spirit clan, wouldn't that be a little too miserable? With such a powerful god's seal, it can't even seal a head. Does it need to be sealed with its own body? However, when he looked carefully, he found that the floating corpse is indeed from the divine spirit clan, but it doesn't seem to be the leader. Elder of the divine spirit clan, the power of the evil spirits is sealed in its body. It still has its own consciousness, but it is already in a blurry state. Its cultivation is at the early stage of the medium god realm. So it's an elder of the divine spirit clan. Yi Tianyun breathed a sigh of relief. But if it's an elder of the Divine Spirit clan who sealed it, then what about the leader of the Divine Spirit clan? Maybe he will know the truth after passing this test. Then, he lifted his foot and walked forward. As soon as he stepped into the formation, the floating corpse suddenly moved. It slowly raised its head and looked over. One of its eyes was white and the other was black. This phenomenon means that the power of the evil spirits has already corroded its head. Someone finally came. The dry voice sounded like scraping against the wall. It was very ear-piercing and uncomfortable. Ha, someone finally came. Can I, the evil spirits, absorb some blood? Or do you want to seal me again? It's been too long since I've had fresh blood for me to absorb. I've been absorbing this body for so long, but there's no smell at all. The mummy suddenly laughed loudly. Its twisted face looked completely different from before. Whether it was his voice or his tone, they were on two different levels. One was dry and weak, like a lamp that had run out of oil, the other was full of energy and evil. The evil spirits have already corrupted me to this extent. Yi Tianyun sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that possessing the evil spirit's orb came with such a powerful side effect. The evil spirits were too strong. They were cultivators that were infinitely close to becoming god emperors. Not only were they hard to kill, even if they were dismembered, they wouldn't die. Kill me, seal the orb of evil spirits. Soon, another voice sounded, telling Yi Tianyun to kill him. Ha, come and kill me if you can. You're just a middle-level heavenly master, I don't know how you came in but you're pretty good to come in and give me your blood. After a while, when I have completely taken over this body, I will be able to rush out. The evil spirits laughed again, looking at Yi Tianyun with disdain. This elder of the divine spirit tribe was at least an intermediate heavenly god. Now that he had the power of the evil god, it would not be easy to kill him. Rush out? I think with your ability, you can't do it. Yi Tianyun sneered and said if it was so easy to rush out, you would have already rushed out. He tightly held the 5-dragon divine spear in his hand, ready to fight. This was the last trial. Kill the elder of the divine spirit race and become the guardian of the evil god's orb. He will also become like this, letting the evil spirit's orb enter his body and then his blood essence will be extracted bit by bit. This process is very slow, unless he uses the evil spirit's orb, otherwise it will be very slow. But no matter how slow it is, his blood essence will be extracted bit by bit. No matter which guardian it is, the final outcome will be the same. Unless he moves out in advance, he can live for a while longer, but it will be very difficult to replenish his blood essence. He hasn't even fought yet, he already has to make a choice, either die or become a guardian. However, the evil spirits in front of him will not allow Yi Tianyun to become a guardian. If he becomes a guardian, he will continue to be trapped for a very long time. How can he control the divine spirit clan elder's body like now? Especially now, he wants to kill Yi Tianyun to absorb more blood essence to fill his own needs. The more blood he absorbs, the more power he can recover. But how to absorb? He only has one head, his power can't be that strong. Brat, you're quite arrogant. Even if I can't get out, at least I can still kill you. The evil spirits shouted, controlling the divine spirit clan elder's body to attack. His power quickly increased, from the original intermediate heavenly god level to the intermediate heavenly god level. Obviously, the evil spirit's own power has been poured in. Only in this way can he better control this body. Yi Tianyun's expression was indifferent as he looked at the evil god that was rushing towards him. No wonder it was said that he had a 50-50 chance of winning this round. If the Divine Spirit Clan's elder's soul power had the upper hand, then he could easily win this round. On the other hand, if the evil spirits have the upper hand, then he will face the 50% chance of failure. Now, it is the other 50% chance. The evil spirits have already controlled the body and increased their power. Combined with Yi Tianyun's previous level, this is really the success rate. However, that was then and this was now. Now that his cultivation had increased, he could even fight against a middle-level celestial god. 5 dragons roar. 5 dragons bracer. Dragon and Phoenix divine meridians, open. He went all out. He was so much stronger than him, especially when facing an evil god. If he didn't use it, then he would be a fool. He is not a fool, and he will not underestimate his enemy. He has always adhered to one principle, and that is, a lion will use all its strength to fight a rabbit. Boom! The violent attack blasted, accompanied by a terrifying loud sound, and both of them were sent flying. The Divine Spirit Clan Elder's withered body was sent flying even further, and finally hit the protective shield, making a bang sound and bouncing back. Poochie, the Divine Spirit Clan Elder spat out a mouthful of blood, but it was just a little bit. His body was almost drained, and there was no blood left. Yi Tianyun's situation is not bad. His body was slightly shaken, and he suffered some internal injuries, but he will be fine after a little recovery. In the first exchange, Yi Tianyun has a slight advantage. Chapter 1598. The evil spirits couldn't gain any advantage, and neither could Yi Tianyun. The two were tied. However, the evil spirits were definitely at a disadvantage. The evil spirits couldn't absorb spiritual energy like Yi Tianyun could, so they were completely sealed. The only thing they could absorb was the body of the Divine Spirit Tribe Elder. However, as time passed, the Divine Spirit Tribe Elder would be sucked dry. Therefore, as the attacks continued, the consumption would only increase. Eventually, the evil spirits wouldn't be able to fight back. They could either kill the Divine Spirit Tribe Elder directly or stall for time. Both were very good ways to win. Especially the latter. Even if they couldn't beat the Divine Spirit Tribe Elder, they could still stall for time. Especially if the evil spirit's power was reduced. Once the Divine Spirit Tribe Elder's consciousness gained the upper hand, everything would be settled. As expected of the power of the evil spirits. It's really evil. Yi Tianyun saw that the 5-dragon divine spear in his hand had been contaminated with pitch-black energy, and it was spreading to the spear shaft. However, when he shook it, the evil energy quickly disappeared. If he was attacked many times in a row, the evil energy would really invade his body. No wonder you could come in. It seems like you have some ability to become a guardian. But how can you be so strong as a middle heavenly venerate? The evil spirit's pitch-black eyes stared at the Divine Spirit Tribe Elder's body and licked his lips. But this is more in line with my wishes. If it was too weak, there wouldn't be any challenge, and there wouldn't be any feeling when absorbing it. The next moment, the evil spirit straightened his body, and the evil spirit's pearl on his chest suddenly released pitch-black energy that covered his entire body. A moment later, the Divine Spirit Tribe Elder's shriveled body quickly filled up, and he became extremely strong in the blink of an eye. The originally shriveled old man had turned into a sturdy young man in the blink of an eye. His aura and mental state were much stronger than before. This was the power that the evil spirits had absorbed back into the Divine Spirit Clan Elder's body, allowing the Divine Spirit Clan Elder's body to return to its peak state. Only in this way would he be able to unleash even greater power. Soon, a perfect body appeared in front of him. The level of power suddenly rose to the level of an upper heavenly god. The pressure instantly enveloped him, making Yi Tianyun feel even more pressure. Sure enough, he still had to face such a terrifying level. It would be difficult for him to win against the evil spirits of an upper heavenly god. There was already a huge disparity between their cultivations, making it even more difficult for them to fight. However, this was within his expectations. He was facing an evil spirits, not an ordinary cultivator. Now, let's have some fun. The evil spirits licked their lips and walked towards Yi Tianyun. Every step they took left a deep black mark on the ground. Yi Tianyun could feel that this was only a small part of the evil spirit's power. Even after its power was sealed, it still had such terrifying power. What if it was a complete evil spirits? Thinking about it, it was terrifying. Come on. Yi Tianyun held the 5-dragon divine spear tightly. He was already prepared to fight to the death. He would slowly consume the power of the evil spirits and he would be able to win. Just as he was about to fight, the evil spirits suddenly froze. They wanted to continue walking towards him, but they froze on the spot. You bastard, you are not dead yet. If you are not dead, how can I die? Give me back my body. The Divine Spirit Clan Elder suddenly shouted. He raised his palm and aimed it at his chest, trying to pierce through himself. The moment he was about to stab, his body moved slightly to the side. The palm that had turned into a sharp sword slashed at himself, cutting off his arm. Puchi, blood spurted out and dyed the ground black. It seemed like even the blood in his body had turned black. Bastard, you are wasting the energy I have stored. This is my body. I can do whatever I want. The two soul consciousnesses were fighting to see who would gain the upper hand. Swoosh! A cold light flashed from the side and instantly hit the Divine Spirit Clan Elder's body, piercing through him. The Divine Spirit Clan Elder turned his head and found that a long spear had pierced through him. Yi Tianyun was standing next to him. The violent spear thrust into his own chest without the slightest bit of hesitation. Young friend, thank you. The elder of the Divine Spirit Clan smiled as if he had been relieved of his burden. Damn it. Kid, are you crazy? The evil spirits once again took over his body. He reached out and grabbed the 5-dragon divine spear, pulling it out. Then, he quickly retreated. At the same time, the big hole in his chest was quickly healed. The evil spirit's pearl was constantly emitting energy to repair it. However, as the heretical god's pearl was repaired, the light emitted by the heretical god's pearl grew dimmer. This was the effect of excessive consumption. However, if he did not consume it, he would not even have a chance to fight back. Swoosh! Swoosh! The reply was not Yi Tianyun's voice, but the 5-dragon divine spear. He wanted to kill the evil spirits. The Divine Spirit Clan Elder knew that the longer he delayed, the more dangerous it would be. Therefore, he wanted to kill the evil spirits as quickly as possible. The evil spirits quickly dodged. However, he was not in a good situation with a broken arm. Especially after being stabbed by the spear, it was extremely injured. His overall strength had decreased greatly. He had originally been promoted to the upper celestial god level, but now he had fallen to the intermediate celestial god level. He was not much different from before. In fact, he was even weaker. You are just an ant. How dare you resist? After dodging several times, the evil spirits flew into a rage. Even if I have to exhaust all my strength, I will destroy you. The evil spirits roared. The evil spirit's pearl in his chest completely erupted with all its energy. The terrifying power of the evil spirits surged out and enveloped his body. Soon, the injuries on his body healed. His body was restored to its peak state. His combat power had actually reached the upper celestial god level. It seemed that he had really released all his energy in order to kill Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun was undoubtedly challenging his dignity. Therefore, even if he had to risk everything, he had to kill him. Is that so? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Yi Tianyun's eyes were burning. Even if he had to risk everything, he had to kill this evil spirits. This time, no matter what, he had to pass the trial. After all, he still had a lot of things to do. Especially the alliance. The evil spirit's pearl must be obtained. He absolutely could not let it go. Boom! Yi Tianyun erupted with all his strength, exerting it to the limit. He even activated the power of blood essence ignition. Do you want to start blood essence ignition? The system reminded. Chapter 1599. Ding! Starting to burn the power of blood essence, overall strength increased by 30 times. Power of blood essence consumed by 1%, Yi Tianyun usually did not burn the power of his blood essence. After all, it was not easy to recover. Unless he had no other choice, he would not burn the power of blood essence. In the past, the effects of the blood jade stones and the like were really negligible, basically negligible. He could still play like this in the past, but now he did not dare to do so casually. There were no similar recovery stones, and he did not get any lucky draws. He had accumulated a lot of lucky draws now, but he did not have any lucky draws. The things he got were basically useless. They were either bloodline duplicates or some ordinary experience cards. It was very difficult to get anything good. Unless he leveled up completely, it was still relatively difficult to get something new. Now he had no choice but to use it. Otherwise, he would not be able to deal with the evil spirits and would only be crushed. He did not hope to kill the evil spirits in a second. With his current strength, it would be very good if he could fight to a draw. As long as he could stall for time, he would be the winner. Boom! After using the power of blood essence, his combat power rose rapidly. Even if he faced an upper celestial god, he would be able to contend. It was impossible to defeat him, especially when the opponent was the evil spirits. Die, you ants and vermin that live here. A long black whip appeared in the hands of the evil spirits, and he lashed it heavily. This was a weapon formed by the power of the evil spirits. He did not have any weapons, so he could only use the power of the evil spirits to attack. If he had the heavenly god's spiritual treasure, then Yi Tianyun would have died many times. 5 dragons roar. Yi Tianyun's eyes were firm. He attacked fearlessly, and the two quickly bombarded each other. Boom! Yi Tianyun flew backward. A layer of shield quickly appeared on his body, and the power of the attack was mostly offset. Overall, it was not a big deal. However, on the side of the evil spirits, under the bombardment, the power of the evil spirits became dim. He was not injured, but he consumed a lot of energy. He could not kill Yi Tianyun. It can become even stronger. The evil spirits were shocked. Previously, he thought that he was the strongest, but he didn't expect that he would be so much stronger. Based on common sense, it was already impossible for Yi Tianyun to erupt with such power as a middle-level heavenly venerate. It was even more unbelievable that he could become even stronger. Again. Yi Tianyun didn't stop to rest. Wielding the 5-dragon divine spear, he continued to fight against the evil spirits. Overall, it was still acceptable. It was just that the evil aura would gradually invade his body, making him feel a little uncomfortable. In the past, the title could still resist the invasion of evil energy. However, in the face of the terrifying evil energy of the evil spirits, it could only helplessly surrender. I don't believe it. The evil spirits also charged over and clashed head-on with Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun was pushed back again and again. The power of the evil spirits seeped deeper and deeper into his body. Even his arms were dyed black. However, he continued to fight head-on, completely ignoring the injuries on his body. After all, every time he clashed head-on, the other party would also become weaker. The power of the evil spirits could be said to decrease with each use. It wouldn't continue to increase. Yi Tianyun was different. He could still recover through things like the voodoo with divine set or by consuming elixirs. The evil spirits could only attack him once and only exhaust him once. As time passed, he would only become weaker. As long as Yi Tianyun could persevere, everything would not be a problem. Reality proved that this was the case. Under the continuous attacks, the evil spirits became more and more nervous. Every attack would send Yi Tianyun flying. Sometimes, Yi Tianyun would even suffer serious injuries. However, every time, Yi Tianyun would stubbornly hold on and continue to recover from his injuries. Especially when he kept stuffing elixirs into his mouth, his recovery speed was extremely shocking. Yi Tianyun had crazy mode, which could enhance the effects of elixirs. Therefore, after stuffing elixirs into his mouth, he could greatly enhance his recovery ability and rapidly recover from his injuries. That's why Yi Tianyun was able to survive the continuous battles. As he attacked, the evil spirits became more and more anxious. If this continued, he would be finished. How did this kid cultivate? His recovery ability is so strong. The evil spirits' face became more and more ugly. If this continued, his energy would decrease, and he would not be able to control this body anymore. The Divine Spirit Clan Elder would definitely take over this body. After a few attacks, the evil spirits hurriedly stretched out his hand and said, "Kid, stop. I want to discuss something with you." Yi Tianyun didn't pay any attention to him at all. He kept stabbing the 5-dragon divine spear in his hand without any signs of stopping. "Stop. Stop right now. I am the evil spirits, a dignified evil spirits. I could have been an emperor god, but now I am sealed here. As long as you let me go, I will make you the second emperor god, or the strongest existence under me. At that time, you will be able to possess all the treasures here, and you will be able to order anyone to do things for you." The evil spirits began to tempt him, using the same old trick. But this old trick had many people falling for it. Too many people could not resist the temptation. Moreover, the evil spirits had a great reputation. If he was really resurrected, it would not be a problem for him to become an emperor god. As the one who saved him, the benefits he would receive would be extremely shocking. The benefits of being the strongest under him would naturally be amazing. Even if he could not break through to become an emperor god, he would at least be infinitely close to it. But this kind of temptation had no effect on Yi Tianyun. The 5-dragon divine spear in his hand continued to attack. He would not believe the nonsense of the evil spirits. The evil spirits would definitely make him sign a slave contract or something. Moreover, he had no interest in such things. What did he mean by ruling over everything? Even if he had such thoughts, he did not want to rely on the evil spirits for help. He wanted to do it himself. "Ah! You lunatic, unless you don't seal me, you will definitely be sucked dry by me," the evil spirits shouted. But no matter how he shouted, it was useless. The energy released by the evil spirit's pearl became weaker and weaker. If this continued, it would disappear. Finally, after a period of time, Yi Tianyun suddenly pierced through and hit the evil spirits again. As time passed, the evil spirit's power continued to decline. Finally, it fell to the level of a middle heavenly god. The danger level had basically dropped to a very low level. Therefore, it was still hit by Yi Tianyun's attack. Once again, the evil spirit's body was injured. Under this attack, the body immediately deflated like a deflated balloon, quickly returning to its previous shriveled state. Chapter 1600. Yi Tianyun breathed a sigh of relief after the Divine Spirit Clan Elder regained his consciousness. It seems that the Divine Spirit Clan Elder won't change back. This could be seen from the Heretic God's Pearl. The evil energy it had released had basically all been retracted. The evil spirits had released most of their energy. Now that the Elder's energy was dominant, they wouldn't take over the body. "Elder, can you control it?" Yi Tianyun asked. "Yes, I can control my body. If it weren't for you, I would have fallen. At most, I could hold on for a while longer. I'm afraid I would be completely taken over, and my soul would disappear." The elder sighed, feeling lucky. Yi Tianyun felt lucky to see a living person. This way, he could understand a lot of things. "Elder, are you the last guardian?" Yi Tianyun asked as he looked around, but he didn't see anyone else. Normally, when a guardian couldn't hold on, they would immediately appoint a new guardian. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a good thing to be controlled. "Yes, I am the last guardian. I wanted to go out and choose the next guardian, but the situation didn't allow it. When I wanted to go out, I was already a little bit controlled. I could only wait here for someone like you to appear." The elder was happy. I didn't expect that after so many years, it would finally happen. You know, the three realms exists in Fanyu. I didn't have much hope. Fortunately, God still cares for us. He didn't completely destroy all hope. You can see the situation now. I can't continue to be a guardian. I'm going to die soon. Now, let me ask you, are you willing to be the next guardian? The elder's expression became serious. This is a very serious question. I don't want to force you. It's all up to you. If you don't choose to become a guardian, then I will seal the evil spirit's orb, but it won't be for too long. It won't last as long as a guardian. But if you become a protector, it means that your essence blood will be constantly absorbed. From beginning to end, it will be constantly absorbed until the next protector is found. Of course, in the process, you can use the power of the evil spirits to become extremely powerful. However, the price is also painful. It will accelerate the absorption of essence blood. The elder of the Divine Spirit clan didn't intend to force Yi Tianyun to accept it. Everything was up to him. Becoming a guardian wasn't a good job, but it wasn't too bad either. At the very least, it would make him invincible for a period of time. If I don't become a guardian, how long will this seal last? Asked Yi Tianyun. In at most 1,000 years, the seal will be broken. At the same time, the evil spirit's orb will be able to absorb spiritual energy more easily. If it's a guardian, it will absorb its own power. It won't be able to absorb the power of heaven and earth like when it's sealed. In terms of time, a guardian can control at least 10,000 years, or even longer. As long as it isn't used all the time, it can be sealed for a long time. After a moment of silence, Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. Right, I wonder if I can seal the evil spirit's orb in this body. Then, Yi Tianyun took out the evil spirit puppet. He didn't want to have the evil spirit's orb on him. If possible, he naturally wanted to seal it in the evil spirit puppet's body. Evil Spirit Clan. The elder of the Divine Spirit Clan looked at the Evil Spirit Clan. He didn't know why Yi Tianyun had an Evil Spirit Clan with him. To be precise, this isn't an Evil Spirit Clan. It's a puppet I made myself. It looks no different from the Evil Spirit Clan. No matter how carefully I look, I can't see anything wrong with it. Yi Tianyun smiled. So that's how it is. You are indeed a magical existence. It is our luck that a genius like you appeared in the three realms. Only when you appeared could the three realms undergo earth-shattering changes. The elder of the Divine Spirit Clan naturally knew everything that was happening outside. Naturally, he was paying attention to Yi Tianyun's situation. It's just that this puppet's cultivation is too weak. If its cultivation was a bit stronger, it could be used as a guardian. This cultivation can't be lower than the middle-level heavenly venerable level. After all, if the evil spirits were a bit stronger, they would be easily affected. The elder of the Divine Spirit Clan said in a deep voice. Although it's a puppet, we have to be careful. Middle-level heavenly venerable level. Then please wait a moment. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up, and he immediately smashed all the evil spirit's soul and evil spirit's blood on the puppet's body. He had killed many evil spirit clan members before and obtained many heavenly venerable level and even heavenly god level puppet materials. After smashing them, his cultivation rose steadily and he quickly broke through to heavenly venerable level. Then, a heavenly tribulation appeared. Heavenly tribulation. The elder of the Divine Spirit Clan was shocked. He didn't expect a puppet to have heavenly tribulation, and it seems that its cultivation can continue to improve. Soon, Yi Tianyun mobilized the puppet to break through the heavenly tribulation and successfully broke through to heavenly venerable level. Then, he rushed up again and easily reached middle-level heavenly venerable level. He almost broke through to upper-level heavenly venerable level. But he didn't stop, he threw the materials into the shop and sold them, then bought them again and again. He bought them in piles and then continued to smash them. Soon, He broke through to upper-level heavenly venerable level, but it was only at early level. He didn't dare to continue, mainly because he spent too much crazy points. After a while, he will go to the evil spirit clan and kill them, then he can easily level up. A puppet is just a puppet. The experience it needs is much less than mine. Tianyun was very satisfied with this. Fortunately, he had a lot of materials, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to break through to this level. After the upgrade, Tianyun looked at the elder of the Divine Spirit clan and said with a smile, "Elder, I am ready, I don't know if you are satisfied." This is amazing, I have never seen such a terrible ability, even the Patriarch can't do this, right? The elder of the Divine Spirit clan was stunned, his cultivation was very low, but in the blink of an eye, he became an upper-level heavenly venerable, it was as easy as drinking water. By the way, what about the Patriarch? Tianyun was puzzled. The Patriarch. He died in battle, in order to seal the evil spirits, he sacrificed himself. Fortunately, all the preparations were done before, leaving behind the three realms. The elder of the Divine Spirit clan sighed, "The evil spirits are too scary, we must not let them see the light of day again, otherwise, all divine realms will suffer, and it will be an absolute disaster." The evil spirits don't seem to exist in this world, but in another world. I don't know where they came from, but they brought a group of evil spirits, they devour everything. Chapter 1601. The outside world, what's going on? Tianyun was very suspicious about this. Wasn't it just divided into the inner divine realm and the outer divine realm? Yes, the Patriarch had investigated it before and discovered that there really was an outside world. However, it has already been isolated. A special barrier has appeared, and there is no way to go out, and there is no way to enter. It should have been repaired automatically. The Divine Spirit Race Elder said in a deep voice, "Perhaps the evil spirits came from the outside world." According to the records, there was no evil spirit race in the past, but suddenly, a group of evil spirit race appeared and started a crazy massacre. This evil spirits is the Patriarch of the evil spirit race. He was the one who led the evil spirit race in. After Tianyun heard this, he was extremely shocked. This seemed to have overturned his understanding. He had originally thought that the evil spirit race existed here, but he never thought that they did not exist in this world, but belonged to an invading race. In this way, everything made sense. The reason why the evil spirit race devoured everything, regardless of race, was mainly because they were not people of this world. They came in to rule this world. There's such a thing. Tianyun's expression was solemn. If that was the case, the evil spirit race would really be completely eradicated. Yes, so we absolutely cannot let the evil spirits descend again. If they descend again, I'm afraid that all life will be enslaved by them. In fact, the protective barrier will even be broken. The Divine Spirit Race Elder said in a deep voice, "This requires us to unite and deal with it together. Otherwise, it will be difficult to succeed, and the destruction it will bring will be unprecedented." However, it seemed to be very difficult for a group of forces to unite. Unless there was an unprecedented crisis, it was impossible for them to join hands. All of them lived for their own interests, so why should they cooperate? This is indeed a problem. Tianyun's expression was solemn. It had to be said that the guardians were rather pitiful. If they could not get support and were attacked instead, it would be truly chilling. But I believe that we will unite. This was the case back then. The Divine Spirit Race Elder's eyes flickered as he recalled the situation back then. If they hadn't stood up, they would have really fallen. They were indeed very united back then. In times of crisis, they were still very united. Tianyun nodded. He had seen those scenes during the trial of light. Most of the divine domains joined hands to resist the evil spirit race and finally successfully sealed the evil spirits. They might not have been able to completely annihilate them, but they had shown him the power of unity. They could defeat the experts of the other side. The Divine Spirit Clan's elder turned his gaze to the evil spirit puppet and smiled faintly. Then try to transfer the evil god's pearl over. If he could completely control it, it would mean that he had succeeded, and it would be a very great feat. After all, it's a puppet, unlike us who have to use our bodies to suppress it. If we can use puppets to suppress them, then we can really reduce a lot of unnecessary sacrifices. The elder of the divine spirit race did not reject this method. If there were no problems, he would approve of this method. He, who had been tortured all this time, knew what it felt like. If he could use puppets to suppress them, then it would undoubtedly be very easy. There won't be any problems. I can completely control this puppet and do whatever I want. It will also absorb energy to suppress the evil spirit's pearl. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice. Okay, then let's try it now. After all, it's an evil spirit puppet. No matter what, it has the same origin as the evil spirits, so it's still a bit dangerous. He might have been able to relax with other puppets, but the evil spirit puppet was different. However, he still planned to try. If it didn't work, he could let Yi Tianyun suppress it. Then, the elder of the divine spirit race quickly formed hand seals, and the evil spirit's pearl in his chest started to be pulled out bit by bit. Blood kept flowing from where it was pulled out. The evil spirit's pearl seemed to have grown on it, so it was not easy to pull it out. The elder of the divine spirit race did not make a sound. It was as if he did not feel any pain as he pulled it out bit by bit. Finally, when it was completely pulled out, he fiercely slapped the evil spirit puppet's chest. Up. After the elder of the divine spirit race slapped it in, he quickly formed hand seals and formed various arrays on it. Soon, the evil spirit's pearl was firmly stuck on it. As soon as the evil spirit's pearl was stuck on it, black lines immediately appeared and covered the entire puppet. It was as if the evil spirit's pearl had taken root in it. After the elder of the divine spirit race was hit, his body swayed and fell to the side. However, Yi Tianyun reacted quickly and quickly supported him. At the same time, he started to heal the elder of the divine spirit race. The big hole in his chest started to heal bit by bit. Child, thank you. I don't need this anymore. The elder of the divine spirit race revealed a gentle smile and patted his arm. He smiled and said, I know that I'm already at the end of my rope. Even if I heal this injury, it's useless. His blood energy was completely depleted, and there was only a little bit left. Moreover, his soul was injured, which was simply one disaster after another. Even Yi Tianyun couldn't save him. No matter what kind of treatment he received, he couldn't recover. His blood energy could be replenished, but the damage to his soul was too serious. The fact that he was still alive was just hanging by a thread. Thank you for your sacrifice. In the end, Yi Tianyun could only say that. The future depends on you. The elder of the divine spirit race smiled, then closed his eyes and slept forever. Even if Yi Tianyun had a life that could be saved, he couldn't save the elder of the divine spirit race. This kind of life could only be saved from its current state, which meant that even if it was saved, its blood energy would still be depleted, and its soul would be missing. If it was saved directly, it would be impossible for everything to return to its young state. This item wasn't that invincible. After the elder of the divine spirit race left peacefully, Yi Tianyun turned his head to look at the evil spirit puppet. At this moment, the evil spirit's pearl in the evil spirit puppet's chest started to absorb its blood essence bit by bit. It wanted to suck it dry completely. As expected, as a guardian, its blood essence would naturally be sucked out bit by bit. This evil spirit's pearl was really evil. Huh? It's the energy of my race? The evil spirits was ecstatic. He didn't expect that it would be the body of his race. This way, the absorption rate would undoubtedly be higher. However, when he wanted to continue absorbing, he found that the blood essence had been cut off, and he couldn't absorb it at all. Only the energy that was suppressing him was still there. He could only absorb this energy that was suppressing him. What's going on? I can't absorb the blood essence. This is impossible. The evil spirits were dumbfounded. Logically speaking, no cultivator could cut off the blood essence in their body. They had to circulate it throughout their body, and they couldn't cut it off. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.